Okay. So we are also live. All right. All right, Chief Ekechukwu, I think we will start. We are live and the event is being recorded. So we'll start right away. Let me use this opportunity to thank everyone for showing up to this event, the International Conference on the Implications of the Atiku versus CSU case and the image of Nigeria. My name is Chijike Int'l. I live in New Jersey. I will have the opportunity to be one of the moderators of this event, and that will be done together with Chief Franklin Ekechukwu. I will go ahead now to talk about some few ground rules. Please, we would like everyone to mute, or already is everybody is muted as soon as they come in. At some point, we will have a question and answer, and at that time, the moderators will take questions and direct them to the speakers as required and as proposed by the person who asked the questions. By way of remark, I want to talk about the introduction of this conference theme and objective, the International Conference on the Implication of Atiku versus Chicago State University on the Image of Nigeria, is set to address a pressing issue that has a global significance. This conference goes beyond mere discussion. It aims to dissect the legal intricacies surrounding the case, shedding light on possible critical legal infringement on both Nigeria and the US laws. Furthermore, it will explore how Nigerians in the diaspora can play an active role in engaging the legal and political systems of both nations to ensure accountability for all individuals and institutions implicated in this scandal. One focus of this conference will examine the global psychological implication of allegations of forgery on the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This event will also is scheduled to delve into the potential repercussions on the Nigerian diaspora community and assess the president's ability to effectively manage Nigeria's image on the international stage with a baggage of forgery and criminality on him. At the end of the day, we will have a communique that will be disseminated to critical international organizations, including the State Department, European Union, and of course the US, the Nigerian Embassy in Nigeria, the Nigerian Embassy in the US, and also the US Embassy in Nigeria. But I also want to position every one of us here in this forum, and also millions of people who will be watching from different social media fora, that just like the Greek identified three levels of people, three groups of people who make up a society. It is this time that every single Nigerian must decide which of those groups of citizens that they must belong to. The great people said that the simple meaning of a society is friendliness. That means that everybody, excuse me.
Isaac Sunday.
Somebody, I believe is the person that wanted to bomb the forum came back in. Okay, so sorry for the interruption. So the every Nigerian, as far as this matter is concerned, we have to decide what group they belong to, what classification of a human being they must choose, as identified by the Greek people. The first set of people the Greek people identified is a group of people they call the idiot. The idiot is not necessarily somebody who has a mental problem or who cannot articulate anything, but is simply a person who is only engaged in self-service, who is selfish to the core, and who does not regard any other person's interest as their interest, who cannot articulate a collective good as being a part of a commonwealth, who goes out for his own personal pleasures and his personal issues. They called that group of people the idiot. Then there is another second group that they called the tribesmen. The tribesmen are the people who regard their tribes as their God. Every single thing they do is about their tribe. And they are only able to function within that small space of the tribe. It is not like it is not good to belong to a tribe. That is not what the Greek people say. But that this class of citizens called the tribesmen is that every other thing outside their belief in their tribe is different. And they fight it with money, they fight it with everything that they have. Every collective interest resides in their tribe. But they also identified another group called the citizen. The citizen is that man who looks at everyone's interest, every common good in a society, and that every single individual must work for the common good, not only for them, and that the rights and the privileges of everyone in that society should be respected. They called that group of persons the citizens. So as far as this Atiku Abubakar versus CSU case is concerned, in the integrity and image of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, every one of us must ask himself or herself, which of these groups of individuals in the society do we belong to? Are we in the class of the idiots? Are we in the class of the tribes people? Or are we citizens? I choose to be a citizen. And I believe that every one of us here should be willing to call themselves citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And with that interest, I'd like to welcome every one of you here to this event. I like to acknowledge the conference team and the organizations, the conveners of the conference, who have decided to bring us together as citizens and not as idiots and not as tribesmen, to look at what this implies in our lives going forward. I'd like to acknowledge and thank the Nigerian American Coalition for Justice and Democracy, the Champions of Democracy, the African Diaspora for Good Governance, the Global Nigerian Diaspora Forum, the Diaspora Medics for Good Governance, the Diaspora Action for Democracy in Africa, and my colleagues in the conference team, myself, Chichike Nduku, High Chief Frank Ekechukwu, Mr. Daniel Alomba, and Dr. Shukudi Mojije. With that said, I once again like to thank our keynote speaker who is here present, is Eluche Esquire, a lawyer, and I know that he will do justice to this topic. And on that note, I also want to hand over the floor to Chief Frank, High Chief Frank Ekechukwu, to continue with the program. Again, thank you and welcome. Chief Ekechukwu, please.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't know that I was muted. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, Chijike, and quite an opening remark. I also would like to see if my colleagues, before we continue, to ask if Daniel Elomba and Atiku want to say something before we now introduce our speakers. Daniel, do you want to say something before we move forward? All right.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And how about you, Dr. Chukwudi? Okay. Before we move, we have three major speakers this evening, and I will introduce the first person, and I would like him to introduce himself actually, but I'll call on him to speak. We have 30 minutes, and so as of this moment, I would like to call upon Barrister Ezeluche to introduce himself and then dive into the topic of the day. Thank you very much. Mr. Ezeluche.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to this conference. My name is Ezeluche. I'm a legal practitioner in Nigeria, and I'm a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Very proud to say I'm a citizen. And like several other citizens, like all other citizens actually, worried by the circumstances and the situation Nigeria has been thrown into by ongoing the presidency of Mr. Bola Tinubu, who's currently presiding over Nigeria's affairs. That will be just a very brief. I'm a writer, I'm a lawyer, and everything. In my presentation, I will be speaking to 4 subtopics. The first will be on the legal intricacies surrounding this Abubakar Atiku and Chicago State University case. The second will be on the role of the diaspora, how those in diaspora can help to advance these issues so that Nigeria does not get overwhelmed by the outcomes of this case. And the third will be the psychological implications for not just for the Mr. Tinubu himself, but also for Nigerians. And finally, I'll be also talking about the repercussions for Nigerians, the political repercussions for Nigerians. With regards to the legal intricacies, what the Abubakar Atiku versus Chicago State University case has unearthed is the realities that what has been rumored for quite a long while in Nigeria, for well over 20 years. And that is the fact or the realities that perhaps Mr. Bola Tinubu might not be who he says he is, might not have the qualifications he says he has, and might have been involved in various crimes, not just in Nigeria, but also outside the country. All those things that were in the realm of rumors and imagined. The actions Mr. Atiku Abubakar has taken in the case against Chicago State University has unearthed those rumors and brought them as facts, as truths. When I say truths, one of the things that emerged is from this case is that the fact that the school Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu claims to have got his West African Cambridge results from, the Government College Lagos, was non-existent as at the time he claimed to have gotten that result, which means going by section 465 of the Nigerian Criminal Code, it's a forgery because you purport something that is false as an original, as a truth. So he forged that Chicago State, that certificate from Government College, Lagos. It's a forgery outright. The second fact that emerged was that the person who actually gained admission into the Chicago State University is female, who attended Daly College, what the school is now called Daly College, and came into the university, was female. The third fact that has also emerged is that from the transcripts made available by Chicago State University, Mr. Bola Tinubu was not supposed to have graduated from that university because he had outstanding credits to clear. He had outstanding academic issues to clear, and there are no records from the transcripts that those outstanding issues were cleared. And yet, from the depositions of the registrar, he's said to have graduated. And anybody who understands the US educational system, even the Nigerian educational system, knows that when you have outstanding credits to clear, you will not graduate. You have to clear before you graduate. But in this case, Mr. Tinubu did not clear those outstanding credits. And then if the Chicago State University representative in the deposition claims he graduated, that's an issue that's one of the intricacies in this matter. And the other issue, and maybe the clincher of it all, is the fact that it has come to light that the document Mr. Bola Tinubu submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission in Nigeria, the INEC, the election body in Nigeria, purporting that document to have been a diploma or certificate issued by the Chicago State University, has been proved and established without any iota of doubt to be a forgery. Because if you go by the definition of forgery in the Nigerian Criminal Code, which I said earlier, section 465 of our criminal code, it is very clear that when you purport a document to be what it is not, I mean, even if there was a certificate, but you present something else, you forge a seal, you forge signatures, you forge the various parts of it, you mutilate, you by yourself create those things, you have forged a document. So these are the four clear issues, and they are legal, they are facts that have emanated from the case Alhaji Abubakar Atiku brought against the Chicago State University. Now, what are the implications of this? You see, most of these falsehoods or forgeries are documents that should emanate from the United States of America. Like Chicago State University is a public document in the United States of America, in the state of Illinois, Chicago. The implication is that what Mr. Bola Tinubu has actually forged is an American document. So the issue of the criminality of this matter is not just Nigerian. It's also, in fact, there's an American component of it. A US document has been forged. A forged document was used to assess the US system way back in 1977, when Mr. Bola Tinubu attended Chicago State University. Now, the critical issues that will now be asked are this. Since these issues took place in 1977, when he presented that certificate to Chicago State University, and 1979, when he claimed to have graduated, has the statute of limitations caught up with the forgery, the crime that was committed? Perhaps, yes, depending on the local laws in Illinois or in Chicago, the statute of limitation might have caught up with them. But the fact that at each time these forged documents are presented, the documents are resurrected, because a fresh forgery is committed when you present forged documents, even if they were forged by Adam and Eve, or even if they were forged thousands of years ago. But the moment you will represent a forged document for a purpose, the crime of forgery has resurrected. So what I'm trying to establish is that even in the US system, in the United States, where these documents were first used in the 70s, which is over 40 years ago, the fact that that same document, which purports to have emanated from Chicago State University, was used to present to INEC in the year 2022, that's just a year ago, has resurrected the criminality of the forgery, and even whatever past time limitations or that might have stopped the prosecution for forgery has been eased off by the fact of representing these documents to the Nigerian official body for elections. That's the INEC. That is on one hand. On the second hand is this: the fact is it's already confirmed that a forgery has taken place, because in Nigeria there is a discourse. There is the government, the ruling party, is trying to project some kind of confusion that we should allow the Supreme Court to determine if there was a forgery or not. No, that is not how it is. When two cars slam into each other, there is a crash, and anybody can see that a crash has occurred. The issue of who is at fault or who is not at fault is not now the issue, but a crash has occurred. So that is how this is. The fact that Chicago State University, in their deposition under oath before the court, in the case of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar versus Chicago State University, admitted that the document that Mr. Tinubu submitted to INEC is unknown to them. It's not their document. They didn't issue it. It's not their seal. The signatures are irregular. It's clear and conclusive proof that a forgery has occurred. So let us disabuse our mind. I mean, those of us in Nigeria who have these issues now becoming topical, that you are being sub judice when you discuss these legal issues. No, there's no legal issue. We're talking of a fact, and that is the fact of forgery. A forgery has indeed occurred, and that is the end of that situation. Now, when you look at how do we address this, is the ball shift to the Supreme Court, which should be the body that will now admit, because already the matters has gone past the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal and is now before the Supreme Court. And already the alleged Atiku Abubakar team has applied to the Supreme Court for this new information to be made available to be accepted by the court and let it form part of what they will adjudicate upon when they're giving their final ruling. And also, the APC, which is the ruling party, has also filed a counter. And it should be instructed to note that in the counter of the APC, one of their reasons was that Mr. Atiku Abubakar was just like fishing. He didn't have these documents in advance when he said that there was forgery. Now, it is preposterous, because we have an instance where the same Mr. Bola Tinubu has tried his best to hide and muddle up the issues, so he cannot benefit from his own fraud. That is a basic issue of law, a basic principle of law. You cannot benefit from your own fraud. You cannot benefit from trying to cover up crimes. He even, up to the last minute, it required extra pleas by the Atiku Abubakar team to the court in Chicago that they needed these documents to file in Nigeria before the court now gave a definitive order that under no circumstances must the order be violated. That was how these facts came up. So for the APC to have the temerity to argue that these new facts should not be brought to the Supreme Court because they were not known to the Atiku Abubakar team as at the time the case was filed, it's ridiculous. So the laws should be clear. I mean, Nigeria should realize that what we are up against is a system that we cannot allow to overwhelm us. I don't know legal intricacies. On the role of the diaspora, the Nigerian diaspora, and even Nigerians, we have to decide, is this who we are? Does this represent us? Does this character who has now been established to have forged university diplomas, to have forged a secondary school Cambridge certificate, to have forged various documents, to have been involved and paid and been fined for drug trafficking and money laundering related offenses, to have been involved in diverse and sundry criminal acts? Does he represent us? Is he the ideal person to represent us? And if we answer this in the positive, then we can say, okay, let him continue to rule. But we have answered in the negative by the amount of resistance Nigerians are showing in the face of adversities. We have answered that this man does not represent us by even this program, this conference we're doing. It now behoves on those in diaspora that we know that the Nigerian legal system, the Nigerian legislative system, in fact, the Nigerian state has been captured. has been literally captured. So yes, we can do the little we can do the most we can within our shores, but what role can the diaspora, those in diaspora play? The role the diaspora play is limitless. Why do I say limitless? We're now in a digital era. We're now in a digital world. We're now in a world where what happens in Nigeria can be stopped or can be impacted by what happens in the United States. I'll give you a core example. When Omar al-Bashir was president of Sudan, he was under penalty by the International Criminal Justice. He couldn't travel. He was under a lot of pressure. But the Sudanese diaspora, particularly those from Darfur, who were in the United States, who were in Europe, they ensured they had arrest warrants waiting for Omar al-Bashir all over the United States and in Europe, such that if he had dared step into those countries where there is rule of law, where there is respect for humanity, where there is respect for propriety, he would not have stepped out. The fact that he was the president wouldn't have saved him, even to the extent that he realized he couldn't even attend a United Nations General Assembly session when he was under that limitation by the UN. And the reason was there were arrest warrants engineered by the Sudanese diaspora. How do I know this? I once interned with a group called End Genocide Now in Washington, D.C. And they've had a focus on ensuring the arrest of Omar al-Bashir anywhere he stepped in. So one thing the Nigerian diaspora can do, explore diverse opportunities, exploit diverse means, legal, political, whatsoever, to ensure that you show your angst against a character who appears to have caged in the Nigerian system by showing he does not represent you. And how do you do this? Are there things that can be done to get this arrest warrant? Certainly there are. Like I've mentioned, the forgeries that were committed in the 70s, even if they were impacted by limitations, statute of limitations, the fact that those forgeries were used in Nigeria a year ago has resurrected those forgeries, and anybody in the US jurisdiction can, for goodness sake, say this man forged a US document, and for that reason, we want him to be arrested. And the fact that these things were done before he became a president, it will require some legal expertise to overcome whatever obstacles. I know that the Nigerian embassy over there will want to claim presidential immunity, diplomatic immunity. Oh yes, it is for things you do while you're the president. But if you committed armed robbery before you became president, if you were a drug dealer before you became president, if you forged documents before you became president, does the fact that you now have a tag or toga of president absolve you from your crimes of the past? The definite answer is no. But when you engage attorneys who are practicing in the United States, they'll be able to answer these things in greater detail. Another opportunity the diaspora can use is a US statute, which is called the Alien Statute, the Alien Stot Statute. Alien Stot Statute, in some Nigerians, even in Niger Delta, when they realized that the Nigerian legal system had been bought over by the petroleum oil conglomerates, by Shell, Petroleum, Mobil, and other things, you know what they did? They went all the way to the United States and filed an action to challenge the illegalities and atrocities committed by the Nigerian-based companies who were who had relationships or dealings in the US, because the Alien Stot Law, which is in 1870, over 200 years old actually, it allows US district courts to have primary jurisdiction to challenge torts anywhere in the world, particularly when those torts are challenged by people who have nexus or linkages with the United States system. Now, what is the US system? If forgeries were committed in the US, and based on those forged documents that were emanated from the US, somebody became a president, because clearly one of the reasons why Mr. Tinubu is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria today is because he was able to get a certificate, a diploma from Chicago State University, which purports that he has a degree, because one of the criteria for qualification to contest for presidency in Nigeria is that you must have a minimum of a secondary school certificate. And so Mr. Tinubu did present his Chicago State University forged document as a criteria. So yes, indeed, the Nigerians in diaspora can explore these opportunities, legal opportunities to try to get him arrested. Yes, the Nigerian system cannot arrest him. He has immunity. That can be one of the claims. Because the US court will ask you, have you explored local remedies? Have you explored Nigerian alternatives? And the answer you give them is yes. The Nigerian constitution clearly says that he has immunity from prosecution, from arrest, from investigations over here, but not in the US when he committed the forgery in the United States. So this, I mean, this is just one, but the lawyers in the States can give you more evidence or more facts to back this fact, to back this legal stance up. The Nigerian diaspora abroad can also do a lot of things. You can reach out to the political elites in the United States. If I can recollect, it was the comments of one US senator, Senator McCain, which virtually removed the former President Jonathan from office. Because soon after the Chibok abductions, Jonathan was seen as a very weak person, and he wasn't active, he wasn't proactive. And McCain on the floor of the US Senate said, you cannot have this. He used very rough words on Jonathan. And that was how the end Bring Back Our Girls and every other things followed suit. So but by the time you show this angst, by the time you show this effort, these resources towards ensuring that this man who doesn't represent who we are is removed from office, since the Nigerian system is appearing not to be willing to do the needful, then the world will take note and say, yes, indeed, this is not, he doesn't really represent Nigerians. And the Nigerian diaspora can always, of course, picket whenever he visits any of these countries, ensure that he's informed that he does not represent you. The reason is this: if you don't do this, we have seen past presidents, the former president before this current one, Muhammadu Buhari, had the temerity to go to the United Kingdom and tell the British that Nigerians were fraudsters, that we have lazy youth. While in reality, Buhari turned out to be the most fraudulent president ever in the annals of Nigeria's history. So it behoves on you who will be the major recipients of the insults when these leaders, when these rulers parade themselves as the presidents of our country, when you know they don't represent us, we didn't vote for them, they're not who we are. The Nigerians in diaspora are hardworking, they're intelligent. You look at all the indices in the United States, the most intelligent people, the most people that have PhD degrees, the most people that have master's degrees, they are all Nigerians. So why on earth will somebody who has the kind of pedigree that this character who portrays himself as the president parades should ever dare to represent himself as the ruler of this great nation? And I can keep on saying, what I just said is the basics that Nigerians in diaspora can explore. And this dovetails into the third issue, which is the psychological impact on Nigerians. I mean, most of you out there, even those who are in this conference, you all have your second degrees, your third degrees. You know what it took you to get to that level. You know the efforts you made. But now, Nigerians are being told to recertify, to go through processes again. Already, the nurses in the United Kingdom are suffering. In fact, a batch of 500 and something Nigerian nurses who are already practicing nursing in the United Kingdom have been told that they have to retake exams, because it is this current character who is the president has made it seem that whatsoever degrees or papers you present as a Nigerian must have a forgery connotation on it. So the psychological implication of after 10, 15 years of working as a lawyer, as an engineer, or as a nurse to have to recertify, the insult, the indignity alone affects Nigerians. Let us even forget how the impact these things have on the persona of the person who has actually done this crime. Because will a thief be worried if he's called a thief? No, I mean, there's no psychological damage on him. The psychological impact, the psychological damage is more on the Nigerians. So that is the more reason why we should be up and doing, be more proactive, do whatever is needful to show this is not who we are. He does not represent us. The other one is the political implications for Nigeria. Now, when you have this kind of character with, look at the background, the baggage. Is it the drugs, the money laundering, the forfeitures, the criminality, the forgeries, the falsification, the perjury? How does it affect Nigeria? The stature of Nigeria in the international, amongst this, even in Africa, in West Africa, has diminished to intolerable levels. A few days ago, an election was conducted in the United Nations Human Rights Committee to select countries that will be on the Human Rights Committee. 3 African countries, West African countries, vied for a position. Nigeria scored the least. Other African countries, I think it was Ghana or Benin, came up higher. This is the same Nigeria that in time past was the bastion of peace, the bastion of adjudicating disputes. The people of Sudan came to Nigeria to resolve issues. Ethiopia came up, everybody, even Liberia, we played a very important role in Liberia, but now nobody trusts Nigerians. Nobody relies on Nigerians. Nigeria has become the butt of jokes, even in classrooms across West Africa. The fact that we have somebody who portrays himself as president, who forged documents, has become like a byline, a thing used to mock Nigerians. So for the impact on the politics of Nigeria, it has messed us up big time. We have lost credibility. Nigeria, the current president, in a bid to curry the favor of the United States and the Western, those who we thought would be his Western backers, went to the extent against West African decisions to decide that there will be a military push against the leaders of the coup in Niger Republic. And we've seen where that ended up. He messed up, and now the credibility of Nigeria has gone far below par. So on the issue of political implications for Nigeria, we have never had it so bad. It was worse, it was bad when Buhari was there, but now it has gone where we don't even factor in issues again. We're not even considered. And because they know that they know who we have as our president. And for how long can this continue? So what I will call on people, the listeners out there is, look, the issue is not the current person who is presiding, who's portraying himself as the president. We must take it beyond that. We must realize that Nigeria belongs to all of us and do the needful to ensure that not just the stature of this country is raised to where it should be, but also that the dignity of the Nigerian is restored. Because as it is now, we are rated far below, we have gone below what is expected of Nigeria, and it will get worse. That is why I will use the opportunity to call on those who have the powers. The matters now has gone to the Supreme Court. Soon there will be a panel of the Supreme Court that will look into these matters. We know that they will look at it dispassionately. People have asked that with what has happened in the past, do we still have confidence in the Nigerian judicial system? Do we still have confidence and faith in the Supreme Court of Nigeria, which will be charged with the responsibility to adjudicate over the appeals in this matter? The answer to that, the simple answer to that is yes, because the alternative to that, having that confidence, is anarchy. But the Supreme Court judges himself realize that what is up is not just the issues, but also their credibility, because there are very, very clear issues. The section 1371J of the Nigerian Constitution clearly stipulates that anybody who submits a false or forged document to INEC is not qualified to contest to be president. In very clear terms, no prevarications, it is in very clear terms. And luckily enough for everybody, the current Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ariwola, has told Nigerians that they will not kowtow or bow to public sentiments or public opinions, but they will go strictly by the provisions of the Nigerian Constitution and Nigerian laws. And what does this law say? It says clearly that when anybody who presents a forged document to INEC, which is the election body, to contest the presidential elections, should be disqualified from contesting. And if somebody should be disqualified and erroneously, by whatever means, he is able to contest, that gives the Supreme Court only one option: nullify the whole process, nullify his election, invalidate the candidature of that person. So that is what we are hopeful that the courts will decide when the time comes. And we pray that they don't disappoint Nigerians. And for now, that will be my opening statement, and then I'll be open to questions from any of the reporters. Thank you for the opportunity once more. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, sir. This is quite an illuminating 30 minutes or more speech. I say thank you very much for your enlightenment of the situation. At this present time, actually, we were expecting Obaseki and Obazi wanted to come in at 7:30. So since we still have time to do, I would like now divert into us now asking some questions back, answers and answers.
One second, I've just received message from Obaze. He's finding it difficult to log in. I've explained to him that you have to register. Thank you.
Okay, then that means a few minutes. But for the meantime, we can dive into the discussion of what our speaker just said. Any questions or any clarifications? Please, if you have any clarification, please raise your hand, and then we can take those questions, and then Honorable Barrister Ezeluche can actually answer those questions. And if you want to also contribute to what he said in terms of the effect of what we are doing, in the effect of this certificate saga on foreign countries against Nigeria, what he has actually have done affected our country. Because recently I see that a lot of even loans, to be able to acquire loans, or for Nigeria to acquire loans from the World Bank or any of IMF will be very difficult, because right now our leaders are not to be trusted. So anyway, if you have any questions, please raise your hand and we will take that and allow you to speak. Thank you.
There are hands already in the air. Please call them accordingly, please.
I don't see it.
Can I speak? I am here from
I can see one hand.
Yes, sir, go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me permission to speak. I acknowledge the organizers of this conference, and thank you, Barrister Ezeluche, for a wonderful, clear presentation of the situation in Nigeria. I want to say this to us. I have a few points. I've just finished a Zoom meeting where I have given my suggestion. And after this, I'll be going for another Zoom meeting. There is no time to waste. Our country is at a crossroad. And I have 4 points I want to give here to support my brother Eze. I am a practical and action man. One point I said here is that the international community do not care about the image or the progress of Nigeria or Africa. I want us to take note of that. I don't want to waste time. Number two, the international community have their own agenda and care less about our welfare as long as their interest is well protected. Let's have this at the back of our mind. Number three, the USA, in which country I am in, I'm in California, is about to flaunt Atiku on us, because the feeling is that Peter Obi is too smart for them. Now, I'd like us to know I'm not supporting Peter Obi or supporting Atiku. I am from Kaduna State. I'm from Southern Kaduna. I am one Nigeria that believes I am mobilizing my people in Southern Kaduna to understand that a new Nigeria is possible. And we want a new Nigeria that is not built on religion, sentiment, or ethnicity, or this regional sentiment that was used by the colonial masters to divide Nigeria. I have taught in the university in Kenya. I have taught in theological seminary in Nigeria. And I understood what people in Kenya and Nigeria cry out to me and said it is time for those of us who are scholars to come out and show them how the socio-political transformation of Africa can be possible. I promised them that by God's grace, we will try our best. And I showed them it was not going to be easy. So I'd like us to know that a godly opportunity has come to us as a people in Nigeria to fight for our rights. And so if we're going to fight for our rights, we should not expect anything from the Supreme Court different from what we saw in the 5 tribunal judges' verdict. We must rise up to let them know clearly that Nigeria, enough is enough. We are not fighting for ourselves. I am 53 years old. I have seen everything in Nigeria. I am where I am today by the grace of God. My siblings do not have the opportunity I have. And God kept reminding me that all he has done in my life is for the next generation. And that when the time comes for me to speak for Nigeria and I fail him, I will stand before him on the last day to give account of my life. I don't want to show or use religion here. I want to speak as a scholar. I'm a researcher doing my PhD, and I'm telling us these are the things we need to do. Then what is the way forward? Because I don't want to waste our time on this platform. I have identified 3 things. Number 1, we must refuse the United States of America solution or any Western community or country solution. Rather, we should demand that any Western country that want to assist Nigeria should listen to us and work with us. This is the time for Nigeria to stand up and fight for freedom. Our forefathers fought for independence, but they understood. Kwame Nkrumah, immediately he got the independence of Ghana, understood that political independence is not economic independence. So that was when Kwame discovered the problem that is confronting him and Africa. So he tried to rally Africans together to fight for both political independence as well as economic independence. Unfortunately, the understanding of Africans in those days was limited, and they didn't see what he was saying. It is our time to now make sure that what these 4 patriots did for Africa, we conclude it and make sure that Africa is free, beginning with Nigeria. Number 2, we must mobilize Nigerians for what I call national protest greater than NSAS. And this is where and let me explain a little bit so that you don't misunderstand me. Mobilizing means that we must be intentional. We must train, coach, and guide Nigerians, beginning with the youths and the elders and every sector. Let Nigeria understand that what is wrong, what is right. And for a man to forge certificate, let me explain to you. In the United States of America, to forge a certificate is equivalent to what they call identity theft. And if you are an identity thief, you will be subjected to 15 years imprisonment. Tinubu has lost the moral rights, the legal rights, the academic rights to remain on the seat of the presidency. And we cannot trust the system in Nigeria. That is why we must begin mobilizing our people for protest while the hearing is going on. I respect Mr. Obi. I respect Atiku saying they are going to court, but I can assure you, if we keep quiet and say we are waiting for legal action, nothing will happen in Nigeria. Atiku will waste our time for another 4 years. And after it again, the international community will deal with us. Let me explain now as a prophetic voice, which I am by the grace of God, apart from a scholar. I want us to understand that after United States of America released their FBI report, let me tell you what is coming. They will have been indicting Nigeria entirely, not just Tinubu. And by next year, what means is that every Nigerian, every one of us will be rubbish. You cannot speak, you cannot comment, you cannot do anything because they will look at us as if we are mumus, we don't know our rights. Nigeria is a country of over 200 million people that we cannot allow a guy who has no primary school certificate, no secondary school certificate, no university certificate, who has no identity in Nigeria, to remain on that seat by the power that made God. Tinubu, I have already removed him from the throne. I have prophesied this since 2017. I told people that the Lord told me that Buhari will put us into this problem. They thought I was joking. And I told people that the Lord told me that Nigeria will face revolution and that people like me must speak out so that the revolution will not be a bloody revolution. And I asked the Lord, I said, what kind of revolution are you going to give us? He said, it will be called the revolution of the people of Nigeria, by the people of Nigeria, for the people of Nigeria. And he prepared me. He told me, he said, make sure you guide Nigerians to know They should not expect any solution from United Nations. They should not expect any solution from all these Western organizations. And he gave me key issues. I am sharing this with you, that by the grace of God, let's work together in this conference. Come out with a solution. We are already sending, if you are aware, my team and some other team have already sent some information that is going around Nigeria saying Tinubu must resign within 14 days or face a national and global protest. We are on this way to make sure that we sanitize, we coach, we train, we mobilize, and we also raise funds to help our people in Nigeria. Because I'm telling my friends here in the diaspora that it's not easy for our people at home. So we will need to prepare food. We will need to prepare all the logistics that will make sure that we, the Black race, know our right. May God help us. I will leave my number. Amen. Because I have to run to the next Zoom meeting. I am a man on a mission. My blood is boiling. I come from Southern Kaduna. My people have suffered. They have massacred me. And I want you to know I'm a royal person. I have a royal blood in me. Jesus reminded me how the Fulanis dealt with my forefathers. But because I became a Christian, I forgive them. And I tell you, I have no bitterness against the Muslim. I have no bitterness against the Fulani. I love all of them. That is why the Lord sent me to Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, and I went and delivered the message. The Lord sent me to General Gawan. I delivered the message. And he told me Gawan will not die until Gawan see that the Nigeria he fought to keep one was never won. And I'm glad when a rumor came a few days ago that Gawan is dead, I discovered that Gawan is not dead. So I'd like you guys to know that a new Nigeria is possible. And let me say this today, prophetically, I'm sorry, that Nigeria have about 7 years to turn Nigeria around and prepare for the famine that is about to hit the entire world, Nigeria and Africa. That is why we must not take these things for granted. Tinubu must go. Tinubu has no right to be on that throne. And we must not say yes to Atiku or Mr. Obi. Let's allow the person who wins the election free and fair. Let's make sure that institutions in Nigeria begin to work. Let's make sure that anybody that does not have any business in being in leadership is cast out. Thank you. God bless you. I wish us well. I will leave my number on the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I don't, Dr. or Pastor Ganko, thank you very much for your contribution. And please, I would like us to limit some of our comments. I know that our blood is boiling, but I know that there's one person that's lifted their hand, but I would like to go to Miss Omolara Williams. Please, if you want to comment.
Thank you so much, Franklin.
Okay, madam.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abiodun Omolara Williams. I'm in the diaspora. I'm in the United States of America, and precisely, I'm a Michigan. I'm a Nigerian, blood and flesh, and I'm proud to be a Nigerian. I want to say thank you to all the conveners of this Zoom meeting. You know, I think it's only Frank that I know there. And funny enough, I'm seeing him face to face today. It has always been audio and audio for almost over a year now. We have been speaking on phone, but we have never set eyes on each other. I intentionally did not want to put myself on video unless you ask me to put it on video. If not, I'll just be looking at you. Well, jokes apart, I want to say thank you to the conveners of this wonderful program. The speaker that just spoke now said a lot of things that really touched me, and I felt so bad about what is happening in the country. Southern Kaduna, one of my sons schooled in Kaduna, and used to tell me a lot of things that is happening despite all those schools, military schools that we have in Kaduna. Southern Kaduna has been facing a lot of challenges, especially killing them as if they are killing animals. I can feel your pains. I can feel what you are passing through there. Even though you are not at home, you have your family there. But I know one day Nigeria will be good. Now, I want to go back to this issue of implication of forgery, especially on we that we call ourselves diasporans, and those of us, those of our families that are at home. Already, they are facing, will I say, at that time, now in Nigeria. You know, before, somebody can just call you once in a week and say, please send me something. But today, before you wake up, you have a lot of messages already. You can imagine having like 5 in a day, different people requesting for money. And everything in Nigeria has been affected with this regime. And funny enough, the regime is being presided by somebody that doesn't have the certificate. And it's always painful when you see those people that are supposed to come out and say the truth. They call themselves people that are learned, people that they know the truth. And the Bible tells us that you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. But unfortunately, this regime will have the fake bishops. I am a Christian, but I am ashamed of my religion because most of my people are not saying the truth. Those of their fathers that will say, Father, hey, we bless you, sir. Hey, my GO, my general overseer, they are not saying the truth. And we know that all of them know this truth. It is not starting today. I am a journalist. I remembered when Baba Gani Fawayimi was still alive. I interviewed him once. And Baba said this in Yoruba. He said, Nadeko. We are all of us know who are Nadeko and who have gained a lot through Nadeko. I remember Baba telling me that day that some people use Nadeko to send their children to school. He said some people use Nadeko to get opportunities outside the country. Some people use Nadeko to get positions, power in Nigeria. And some people are Nadeko that they are really fighting for what Nadeko is all about. And we are still talking about this same person. There is no, how can you tell us your father doesn't have a picture, you don't even know the name of your father. And at the same time, your primary school has been an issue, controversial. Secondary school, I remember when the issue of GCI started, Government College Ibadan. Those ones, they came out live and said, sorry, we don't know you. You are not from our school. That one alone, supposed to have silenced him. But because some of our leaders, some of our people, some of people that we think we can look up onto and said, yes, this is my father in the Lord. These are our leaders. They are not saying the truth. They are supporting what they know is wrong. They are not really doing the right thing. And I want to come straight to you all. That is, you, all these diasporas organizations. Nigeria is Africa. We call it giant of Africa. Like what the last speaker said. Yes, you have given him 14 days. Let's try and see how we can come together as one. Because if we are speaking from different mouths, they may not take us serious. A lot of people have been taking positions now. He is spending out money to media. And the only people that can assist those people that are at home is we that were in the diaspora. We that were in diaspora were only the people that can assist those people at home. Because where is the money they will use to do this job? Are they even secured enough? When we're talking about revolution, it's always about the youth. We can imagine what happened during NSAS protest. Are we even not afraid that something like that can still come up? I'm a Yoruba person. I'm proudly Yoruba person. And Yoruba sincerely believe in what we call Omoluabi. Ọmọlúàbí in the sense that you have integrity. Ọmọlúàbí in the sense that you are sincere. Ọmọlúàbí in the sense that you are loyal. Ọmọlúàbí in the sense that you are responsible. Not a forger. Not somebody that doesn't have integrity. That is not Ọmọlúàbí in Nigeria. In Yoruba land. So when you call yourself Ọmọlúàbí, you call yourself a Yoruba person, and you are carrying this type of things everywhere, you are even disgracing our tribe. Our tribe, fine, we are saying that is, you know what we told them? They say, you know what I tell them? I will say it in Yoruba and I will say it in English. That proverb was telling us that I don't want to use any foul language here. You understand? For those people that understand what I mean. If you put a bead, you know, Yoruba is so fond of having their culture, putting bead for a small girl, checking that, dancing like that. Maybe the bead is not okay for that lady, and you still went ahead and said, okay, oh, I want to watch it. I want to look. It is you that you want to look at the bebere that you want to read. I'm not interested in the bebere. I'm interested in the truth. I'm interested in what is right. I'm interested in the progress of my country. I told people it's not about Atiku, it's not about Obi. This thing has to do about Nigeria. So it is only the diaspora people that can assist those people that are in Nigeria. Please, this thing is affecting the social and economic situation of the country. Way that we are in diasporans now, don't be surprised. They will start asking us to go and bring our certificates again. They want to look at it. You can imagine the ones of the nurses that we are still talking about, that they were jailed. Why? It is not compulsory you should have all this certificate before you become president. Then why are you lying? Why do you have to lie? It's lack of integrity. It's lack of dignity. It's somebody that is shameless. So please, I want every one of us. I don't want us to look at ourselves differently. All these organizations, I appreciate you for bringing up this program. And I will beg you in the name of God, let the truth prevail. It is not a new thing in Africa. It may be new in Nigeria for a president, but it's not new for senators. They have removed Senate president because of fake certificates. They have removed ministers because of fake certificates. They have removed governors because of fake certificates. It can start from somebody. Let him start from the person that have done it, that is not ashamed of doing it. I wouldn't like to take much of our time. I would just like to appeal to us. Our people at home need our support. They cannot do it alone. And we need to team together, focus and fight this fight, because we need to win this fight. I thank you once again for bringing up this program. I thank you for convening such a sitting for everybody to speak out their mind and look for which way forward. And also the implication. The implication is not something we can just overlook. Is it the economic? Is it the social? Is it the political standard? Is it the security? You know, it's already harming us. Our reputation all over the world. All over the world. Nigerians are no more respected. And we have lost our credibility in the international community. We have lost it unless we just we don't really want to say the truth. We have lost that credibility. And it's making it difficult for us to negotiate or even to enter into any agreement. Even ordinary Niger Republic, see the way we are embarrassed. See the way they rubbish us. The people that we are giving things to. Look at Chad. Even Republic of Benin. All these things is something that we should not be facing as Nigeria. I know the implications of a president forging certificates are severe. And it's also affecting not only the guy alone, it's not even affecting him alone. aspect is there. The social aspect is there. The economic aspect is there. And also the international consequences. It will definitely arise. If it has not, it has even started arising. And this will lead to a significant crisis of governance. And also, when we talk about public confidence, I won't take our time. I would just like to stop here. Please, let us try and see. We in the diaspora, what can we do to assist people at home? Many of them are scared. Many are, they felt that anything can happen to them. And they are afraid. Even to eat is a problem. There's no security. Everything that, oh my God, I don't want to go to this. Please and please, we need your support in Nigeria. Let us see how we can team together. Togetherness, we can do this thing, because the implication is already affecting not only that individual person or leader, it is now affecting the entire nation. I remain Abiodun Molara Williams. I'm saying thank you for giving me this great opportunity, and I appreciate it. God bless all your organizations. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. I appreciate you. This is quite a fiery topic here. And yes, we do need to organize. And we need to, at the end of this event, I believe we will arrive to a solution to how to move forward. I would like to, Ken, you are raising your hand. After you raise, and after you speak, I will now go back to Barrister Ezeluche, and then take other questions afterwards. Ken, do you want to say something, or you want to ask Barrister Ezeluche some questions?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment, and also just a comment. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ken Agulu. I'm here in Washington, D.C. area. Nigerian problem will be solved by Nigerians. So if you are waiting for America or whoever to come and help us, that won't happen. Barrister, I heard what you said. I believe the diaspora have done a lot in politically awakening of Nigeria. But I go back to what Amaechi of Rivers State said. He said the Nigerian youths are cowards. The Nigerians are cowards. That they politicians are scared as you can never believe. But they know that we are cowards and we are not ready to protest. Amaechi said that a long time ago, Channel Television. Now, we've done everything. I'm talking about the youth. I'm talking about people at the diaspora. A lot we have put in this 2023 election. But the people that we are fighting are the youths of Nigeria. Where a graduate will be riding keke. Where a graduate will be riding Okada. Where a graduate will be dealing POS. Where a graduate will be doing loading and offloading. What is the future of that person? And there are millions. They probably go to church and the Jew tell them the manna will come from heaven, they will be theirs. The destiny of them is in their hands. We all heard about the Sri Lanka. Everybody is scared to die. Freedom is not free. Freedom is not free. These politicians you see in Nigeria are scared as everything. You guys, you know when they're trying to do the appeal court presidential tribunal, most of them left Nigeria. They left Ghana and all this and the UK and everywhere. They're scared. But the youths that their destiny is being torn, they're not interested. Who's gonna fight them? Their fight. Is that a fight? Ain't nobody gonna fight them. They're gonna fight it. Because you telling me if the Supreme Court, which I know, is gonna nullify everything, okay? And you have 1 million youths march to Asoro. What will gonna happen? They're gonna get a fighter jet and shoot all of them? It's not gonna happen. That is where the international community comes. Because they have a case to make now. A case of forgery, a case of everything. But nothing will happen. So you're gonna call me and tell me, send your money, send me this. I'm not ready to send it anymore. You're gonna fight your fight. But you wanna stay in adverse poverty in that way, that's up to you. They don't care. Their children overseas, they have tons and tons of money. 1% of the population. So what I'm saying is, how can we engineer the downtrodden Nigerian youths in Nigeria to wake up because they are still sleeping? If other countries can do it and take the destiny in their hand, but the Nigerian youths are still there, don't care. So that's what pains me. Why are we gonna do that? Somebody gonna die. People died in this country, in America, before they have freedom. We read the history, okay? But we just staying alone and think, man are gonna run from heaven. America gonna help us. Canada gonna help us. UK gonna, they don't care about that. You're gonna do your fight. And when they start killing you, they will come in. And they know how to come in. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eze. Ken,
Okay.
I would like that to go back to leadership, please.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. I think the three people who intervened were very, very forthright and very frank and truthful in what they are saying. Let me start with the last one. Yes, I wouldn't say the Nigerian youths are not aware or are not ready or not prepared, but it's also that the system is also fighting back as much as they can with disinformation, with ethnicism, with religious divides. And but the youths are constantly engaging themselves and they are ready. They are ready. Things will begin to materialize. I mean, you see, like we are aware that even those who's the so-called elites, not really elites, I mean the criminals who are holding the country by the stranglehold are also very, very scared. But then what we are saying is that, yes, while the youths are doing what they're doing, one of the ways that they derive pleasure or power from is when they're able to stash their loot away outside the country. So that is where the diaspora ought to come in. I mean, not even visa ban like the US and UK always say. The ideal thing would be like, if you got this wealth, loot stashed away because of criminal purposes, we can seize it, you forfeit it, because you know you stole it. In the States, you pay about 28 to 30 years for mortgage. Why will a system allow somebody from Nigeria to come and buy a $2 million house and he pays cash and you don't ask questions? And you provide security. You allow such person to also keep the loot. So, and these are against international norms, against even the covenant against corruption. So, I mean, from that angle, if you let them understand, okay, your loot cannot be in our country if you're causing this harm in Nigeria, it will go a long way. All it will do, some of them will now shift their loot to the Emirates, to Arab land, Arabia. But those things still pass through the US SWIFT system. and it's easy to also pin it down. So in Nigeria, yes, the youths are ready, and they've shown that several. They've shown it with the NSAS, like rightly pointed out. And yes, there was errors, and that was why they lost trajectory. But even the government is even aware that even the least recently in Lagos and across the country, the death of a little known singer, when I say little known, he got better known when he died a few weeks ago, created some kind of tension across the country. So, this is what, so the people are ready and they are worried and scared free. That is why we are sensitizing even the judicial system. People are looking up to what will transpire on from the Supreme Court. People were taken unawares by the foolery and the deception of the police authorities and the DSS, the Director of State Security, when the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal gave their judgment. Because these two agencies, the police, the IGP of police, that's the head of the police force, and the Director General of the State Security Service, they were all on air making all so much noise. Nobody should protest. Nobody should come and create scenes around in Abuja where the tribunal was sitting. Then on that day of the panel's tribunal's judgment, pro-government militias, Asari Dokubo was all over flaunting and creating a scene. So for the Supreme Court, when those same agencies of government make that noise, people will remind them that they lied with regards to the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal judgment. So nobody will take their words for anything on that day. So the people will be ready. People are being galvanized. And this is not a matter of and let us not even the Atiku Abubakar Chicago issue is just one of more than 10 grounds of appeal over the almost senseless judgment of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, because that judgment is senseless on several accounts. So the people of Nigeria are ready, and we're already feeling the pinch. The value, the standard of life, value of life, standard of living has depreciated in the past couple of months of this regime, and only God knows how further it will depreciate if we don't put an end to this rascality of rule by somebody who is neck deep in forgery, criminality, and other vices. So yes, the people of Nigeria are living it. We are seeing through it. We are getting ready. People are being galvanized. People are becoming aware. And we continue to have trust and believe that the justices of the Supreme Court who will be saddled with responsibility to do the right things should do what they should do, the needful. And it's not just even there's been so much focus on even the judiciary, but the fact that we are still saddled with these same rascal elements in the INEC, such as the former chairman, the current chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu, and several of his directors who perpetrated electoral fraud, who should actually be undergoing trials for what they committed. But they are still there. It's part of the system, but they will be tolerated. There will be elections in a couple of weeks' time, and these guys will still have to oversee those elections. Nigerians know what is going on, and we're not blind to the realities. It needs a little push, and I believe that push will come sooner than later. And like I just gave an example of seemingly innocuous issues have pushed the system to the brink. And I believe that even the system understands the gravity of what is before our judicial process in the Supreme Court in determining the appeals against the electoral haste of 25th February. And they're all Nigerians. We realize that no matter where you are, you still have to ensure that your base here is stable. And I would believe and we hope that we don't have to go that route. I mean, the route of people coming on the streets. Let the court do the needful, and everybody will live happily ever after. But if they don't do the needful, I'm sure the circumstances may be dire for all concerned. But we hope, we pray that we come out of this stronger and better. And one thing we're taking away from this whole process, the angst we are showing is that the world now knows that yes, indeed, forgers, 419ers, fraudsters. It's not who we are. If it was who we are, we wouldn't be making this effort. But we are showing by this process that this man does not represent us. We are far, far better than the garbage which is being poured on Nigerians by the presence of this character in the seat of power. Thank you, Frank.
Okay, thank you, sir. I have a lot to say, but I'm just, today is not a day for me to speak, but I'll just calm down and allow the audience to speak, and obviously our guests. So I will now go to Professor Pat Obiefule.
Hello, everybody. Good evening or good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to share or highlight the fact that there appears to be a general consensus for a protest. I think that's one thing, whichever group, whichever Zoom meeting you get into, that's one thing, one common denominator. Everybody wants a protest in Nigeria. Now, we have said that, or we recognize, most of us recognize the fact that, yes, there needs to be a protest, but we cannot have a protest where a handful of people, 500 here, 1,000 there, comes out and, and they look at us, those vultures who look at us from their lounges and say, look at them, DSS or whomever, go and disperse these people, and they will arrest some and beat some and all that, and then that will be the end of it. We cannot have that anymore. We've had enough of it. Now, here's what my thoughts. There are several that I'm aware of, groups or constituencies that are making plans for protest. I want us to think of this. See, visualize this image. I hand you one stick of a broom and you just simply break it. I hand you maybe 5 sticks together, no brainer, you break it. Then I hand you a full bunch of broom, the way we use it to sweep. I don't care who you are, you cannot break it. So what am I saying? Rather than approach this thing from the standpoint of a few sticks of brooms here, is a broom there, because we want to make a name or for individual or for group, which group all actually did this? Please, this is about saving Nigeria that is dying. Let it be about Nigeria. So let all these constituencies come together. We bring the planning committee. This afternoon, I had the privilege of speaking to another powerful coalition that are now ready. They want to launch a protest. And I said, nope, you cannot do that. Not on your own. There are several others. So can we bring all these people? Can we have a general protest planning committee and bring these people, the planners from these different constituencies, expand it, and then all agree on a date? And then while we have people raising funds, we have these people planning actively towards this, so that on the day that everyone agreed, diaspora Nigerians and domestic Nigerians, we hit the streets. And I mean, when I say shut down, I mean shut down, as in what happened in Sri Lanka, as in go to this man and have him physically running from wherever he is. That is if he's still physically present in Nigeria. We occupy everywhere occupiable. The international airport, the domestic airport, the Aso Rock, the Aso Kore, I don't care where he is. Nigerians will come out and the entire universe will know that finally, this group of gifted individuals who God put on this planet with so much talent have finally stood up and said, enough is enough. I'm not going to be a part of any one group going out there to show that, yeah, we are the ones organizing a protest. Let's call all different groups. Let's have a meeting of all different groups and agree and expand the planning so that we have the
Mr. Paul BC, can you please mute yourself? Professor Obiefra, you've just muted yourself. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Maybe she's finished.
No, I don't know how
Okay.
that happened, but that's okay. Sorry about that. So I'm simply saying, let's not do individual groups. Let's
Mr. Paul, can you please mute yourself, or you be removed?
Thank you. So if we can do that, let the objective be that on day one, we will have a mammoth crowd on the streets of Abuja. Abuja will be shut down, physically shut down. And these vultures will be running for their dear lives, including the security agents that support them. The ones that do not support them can join us. That's all I wanted to say. Please, let's all think about that. Let's not go do individual constituency, individual group, individual, so that our names will be out there. Oh, this is the person that has been doing this. Oh, this is the group that did this. Let's save Nigeria first. If we save Nigeria and Nigeria starts working the way God made it to work, people will have enough time to go and show off what they did. Please, that's all I'm saying. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you, Professor Ban. As you can see, this event here is a coalition of many other organizations. It's not particular one person doing it. And some other ones also attended some other, have also attended some other Zoom and even do those in space. Yes, I agree with you. We need to come together as one to make sure to push in terms of making sure that the people get back their power or get back power that was denied of them. And most especially this, I don't want to call Amude, Sangudele, the AKA Atiku, that has to somehow stop at the point. The gentleman, Paul BC, I would like you to please mute yourself, or GGK, you can actually mute him. The next person is Moses Nna, please.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Moses Nna, and I'm connecting from Asaba, Nigeria. Honestly, I've been listening with rapt attention to all the speakers, and they have actually spoken very well. I live in Nigeria, and the trajectory which everybody has, spoken to us is organizing a protest, which seems to be the last option at the moment. Because the truth be told, we are not expecting anything from the Supreme Court, unless they are going to surprise us. But one thing I want to emphasize here is divided along ethnic and religious lines. And I think this is one of the problems Nigeria is facing at the moment. This issue of is our turn, is the turn of our people is one of the problems we are facing here. You see, majority of the Yorubas, I'm not saying maybe all of them, might begin to say this is because is our people, is one of our own. That's why they want to make sure he doesn't stay as the president of Nigeria. And maybe the religious preachers will say maybe because he's a Muslim, the Christians want to push him away. So I want to ask, is there any way we're going to reach to the leaders of this section of the country, as well as the religious leaders of this of the sects, religious sects, our so-called fraudulent forgery president belongs to actually talk to the people, to let them know that this fight is not a fight of religion, it's not a fight of ethnicity, it's a fight of saving the entire country called Nigeria. Again, these people have a way of sponsoring pseudo-protesters to infiltrate into the main people who are doing the protests and begin to cause havoc, begin to burn public utilities, offices, and the rest of it. And before you know it, they're going to tag that the protest has become so destructive. And that's when maybe they will deploy military, they will deploy the police, they will deploy all sorts of security apparatus within their jurisdiction to go and start killing people, launching out live bullets. We tried it before, that was in 2020 October, because I was part of that protest. During the NSAS, we all knew what happened at Lekki Toll Gate. So my contribution tonight is this. Is there any way we're going to do all this underground work to ensure that a repeat of what happened in 2020 October doesn't repeat again? And more so, is there any way too we can reach to these security agents to let them know that they too are also part of Nigeria? That they should come along our own side so that we fight this war once and for all, because it is so ridiculous that this person sitting as #1 person in Nigeria has been confirmed to have forged his certificate, and some people are defending him. For me, it's not something anybody can think of. What is happening? I listen to our local televisions, Arise, some of the panelists invited to come and share some opinions. You see them even boasting that they are waiting for Atiku team and maybe Obi team to come to the Supreme Court. So what are you going to defend at the Supreme Court? You're talking about technicalities. Is the technicalities important now, or are we talking about somebody forged results and it's been confirmed globally? The whole world is aware that this result was forged. And somebody that called himself a lawyer, a barrister, a son, is saying, we are waiting for you at the Supreme Court. Why didn't you fight this thing at the Presidential Election Tribunal? Is that the crux of the matter? The crux of the matter is Little Mesoma wrote JAM. Little Mesoma got a high score simply because he inflected the scores. This young girl was made to come and apologize to the whole nation and felt so remorseful about what she did. How much more somebody that forged the certificate and presented it to INEC to win the so-called presidential election and is still sitting there. So as I round off, I'm saying, how do we ensure that religion and ethnicity, these two elements in our society, do not divide these protests we are planning? And again, how do we reach out to the religious leaders and it's what do you call it again? The leaders of this ethnic group where the so-called president come from, so that we come together and fight this war once and for all. Thank you, everyone, for the time you've given to me. We all are bleeding here. We all are feeling so ashamed of what has happened. Thank you once again, and may God save Nigeria.
Okay, let me just respond, Frank and I. Let me just respond to him first.
Okay.
Yes, with regards to reaching out to religious leaders and whosoever, the fact is that all of us live in Nigeria together, and we are aware of the facts, the realities. There is no different market or different fuel stations where people go to buy stuff because you are from this part of the country or you're from this religion. So we are all in this together. And I think the reality is that Nigerians actually know. They have seen the rot, they've seen it through the scam. They know even the so-called religious leaders who are pandering to this ethnic or religious divides. They're already known, and the people don't even give a damn much about them. And they are on the sidelines waiting for the right time to do what needs to be done. With regards to the security personnel, the advocacy is continuing to sensitize the security personnel that they owe allegiance to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not to any individual. And they don't have to respond to unlawful orders. But it's right there, I mean, it's part of their training. You don't have to respond to an unlawful order from your superior officers. When your superior officers tell you to go and shoot and kill Nigerians, you don't do that. You can violently resist and say, no, that is an unlawful order that you don't have to obey it. So they are being sensitized on that. And then those two facts, they are within the ambits of the law. You owe allegiance to the Constitution, and you only respond to lawful orders. Now, lawful orders, the right to protest is enshrined in the Constitution. The Supreme Court has actually ruled on that. The Nigerians have a right to protest, to rallies. Of course, it will not be violent. So, and people have now learned, like what happened in Lekki and some other modern or recent riots, there is always a group that is out also to protect and guard the rally from deviating into something violent, and you ensure that your unscrupulous elements are fished out and removed from such scenes. So, but we are hopeful. I keep on saying we are hopeful because we still have a Supreme Court judgment that is going to come up soon, and we believe that these gentlemen, elderly jurists, are Nigerians, and they understand the implications. Yes, there's no doubt there will be some kind of efforts to compromise them, but that they have seen much more than that. And I believe and I hope, which must continue to express at such forums, whilst also readying for worst case scenario, is that yes, they will do the needful, and then we hope that they are looking at posterity, they're looking at the future, they're looking at their own children, and they also want to leave their names in the sands of time. And then that whilst we are thinking of the X factor, let us also believe that for once, the justice of Supreme Court will abide by the jurisprudence, what they've been taught in schools, what they practice all their lives, and do the needful. If we don't do this, if we don't use this opportunity to deal with a fraudster, a forger who has messed up the system, we may fall back to the example that was laid with the case of James Ibori. I keep on referring to that. The Nigerian judiciary had a mechanism that they could have maybe brought him to justice within the shores of Nigeria. But because the judges in our local jurisdiction failed to live up to expectations, Nigeria had to suffer the indignity and the embarrassment of having a governor who went to Dubai and was arrested and served jail time in Britain. Do we want to have a situation whereby maybe an arrest warrant is put out for a so-called Mr. Tinubu for forgeries committed in the United States, and on a visit to somewhere else in Europe, the arrest warrant gets in? Because the way it works, actually, U.S. arrest warrants can be enforced in Europe if it's well channeled through the Interpol. So, and at that time, you may make all the noise about presidential immunity, but it will be an embarrassment for a president to be arrested and under such circumstances. So the Supreme Court know that they have at their behest, and they are now at a position to save us further embarrassment, and we hope they will live up to the high and lofty office of the Justice of the Supreme Court, which they all hold. Thank you.
By now, have had our second and third speakers, but they are not here yet. And I think I would like us to actually find a way to round up. And what I will do is probably Mr. Chris,
Yes,
you can, okay, you have one more, you have the floor.
Yes,
but hold on, sir. But before you take the floor, I will redirect how we can, after he speaks, we will ask our one of the chairman of the organizations, Professor Obi Aid Opraji, will obviously address us. And one of the things we want to hear from him is his visits to Chicago legislature office. But at that time, then I will also ask him to round up the event. I know I'm supposed to make a speech to round up, but I think I will defer that to him. But at this point, Mr. Chris, you can go ahead and talk, please. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Franklin. I sincerely appreciate. I appreciate what is going on the various platforms. It is obvious that every Nigerian is really ready for a new Nigeria where the systems work. We all know that the systems in our country is not working. And we as a nation are weak when the systems are not working, because the systems support to protect us. And it's not protecting our people, it's not protecting us. And so we have known that. Now, the last speaker mentioned issues that have to do with proaction. And I quite agree with him. For me, I want to respond that in this platform, I think we're doing very well if we were listening to one another. One speaker said some people were ready for action protest, and she said to them, no. That was what happened to me, I think a week ago, where I found myself fighting with some of my brothers, the Igbos, and they were telling me that I'm a weakling, that I am a coward. And I told them, why are you so emotional? I have been in the forefront saying that there will be revolution in Nigeria. You guys didn't say anything. Almost 2 years ago, you were looking at me as if I am just weird. Now that you have seen it now, you are now talking, and then you want me to just jump in and begin to mobilize my people for revolution. I said, no, you have to understand the reality in Nigeria. Our people are suffering from hunger. There is hunger in Nigeria. There is insecurity in Nigeria. Systems are broken. Institutions are not working. Few individuals have hijacked the system of Nigeria in their favor. Understanding this reality will help us to mobilize ourselves, organize ourselves intellectually as well as emotionally to liberate Nigeria. We have so many professors. I did something for my people in Southern Kaduna by first identifying how many professors we have in Southern Kaduna. It amazed my people to understand that we have so many professors that we have not taken advantage of the intellectual potential that God has given us in Southern Kaduna. And I said to them, shame on to you. I am not yet a professor. I am on my way to get my PhD. I am young. I'm the youngest among many of them, but they are beginning to listen. So what am I saying? Let me say this, that I am confident that we cannot ignore religion in Nigeria. And probably maybe that is why God picked me up as a religious leader. Having taught in the university in Kenya, he sent me back to Nigeria in 2011 instead of allowing me to come and do my PhD in the US in 2011. I got the admission with a full scholarship. But he said, I needed you back in Nigeria. I obeyed and I went. It was the difficult decision I ever made in my family because we suffered. We taught in the theological seminary. He refused to allow me to stay in Abuja. He said, go back to the village, Kagoro, and teach in the theological seminary. I disagree. But later, 4 years, Today, I am looking at the fruit of it because my life was changed. God helped me to understand how to talk to my people, how to talk to different people, and to also understand the complexity of Nigeria. We are a complex nation. Some of us have never thought in terms of nationality. We have always been thinking in terms of our tribes. And then we think in terms of religion. These are realities that we have to understand in order for us to make headway. So having understand this, let me say this so that we have an idea. By grace, God has helped some of us to assess the Muslim community. And there are two distinguished group of Muslims, because you have to understand that the Muslims also have their own denomination. So there are two group distinguished professors that God has helped me to reach out to. When he gave me message to Gumi, and then another Christian professor connected me with another sheikh who took me to Sheikh Gumi. Now, these people now, in 2019, they got a message clearly that Nigeria was coming for a revolution, because that's what the Lord told me. And that we must unite together, Christian and Muslims, and fight for revolution. They were not happy with my message. The man that God sent me to. But today I can guarantee you, his eyes have opened and he is ready. But the question is, he's still wondering, are we Christians speaking? Because you see, the way the general overseers in Nigeria are talking, the way some pastors are talking, you will realize that some of us religious leaders are the problem of our country. And that is why I'm saying, instead of just going into revolution and protest, we need to first organize and reach out to different groups. And I thank God that some of us here are in Nigeria, some of us are in the diaspora, and some of us have our organization both in the US and in Nigeria. And we have competent people that can connect with all of us across the board, so that we can reach out to all these general overseers, so we can reach out to the Muslim leaders as a non-religious organization. That way, we will mobilize Nigerians together. We don't need 1 month to do this. We just need 1 week, one week or 2 weeks. I can guarantee you, in this era of communication. In fact, sometimes we just need Zoom, like we're doing this Zoom. I can connect us with some of these religious leaders, and we can talk and agree on the need for us to salvage Nigeria. I had conversation with these Muslim leaders. They asked me question. One of them asked me question, and I told him the danger of what he was doing. That was the first time that man, when I was about to leave, he told me, he said, Reverend, he called me professor. He said, Prof, I want to thank you for speaking with me. You have helped me to understand that some of the activities we're doing as Muslim leaders is not just restricted to Nigeria. We are subject to the international community. I help him to understand that he can be arrested internationally if he allowed genocide in Nigeria. So these are the things I want to know. We have all that we can do. So what am I saying? Let's reach out to religious leaders. Let's also see how we can create awareness, like the NSAS movement came up. We must be intentional in what we're doing. We should not be emotional, but intentional, by mobilizing ourselves, by agreeing with ourselves, by coordinating ourselves. Let's reach out to one another. Let's not be selfish, because many Nigerians, selfishness is our problem. I want to be the only person that it will be known that I did it. No, my brothers, my sisters, let's put the interests of Nigeria ahead of our own individual vision. Let's work to salvage Nigeria, and the time is now. We can do this if we agree on this platform that Tinubu is not because he's a Yoruba. It's not because if Tinubu is an Igbo and he had all these kind of challenges he's having, we will all mobilize as one country and kick against it. Let's be clear in what we're doing, so that no tribe would think that, oh, it is because it is my tribe. That is why they are. No. Please, let's do all that we can do to be intellectual in our approach, to be honest in our approach, to show Nigerians that wrong is wrong, whether it is to a Hausa man, to a Middle Belt man, to a South man, to a Yoruba man, to a Igbo man. We must rise up now and fight if one person is victimized. Injustice against one is injustice against all. We must shun away from this issue that when somebody is victimized or persecuted because he is the inspector general of the police, but he spoke the truth and the president decided to remove him, then we leave it. We must rise up now as a country and make up our mind. We are going to defend our people who are in public offices, who are standing for righteousness, who are standing for a system to operate. That is the only new Nigeria I'm trusting will come. And every Nigerian will know that, yes, we have come to that point where we are ready to fight for our nation. Let's rise up. We don't have time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Reverend. I should call you Reverend Chris because this is quite a motivational speech for all. I believe that we are all on the right track. There was a tweet I did last week where I told people that if the person that I'm supporting committed the kind of crime that what's his name? Amuda did, I would not have supported him. I would have been the first person in front charging my principal that he need to drop out. And I thank God that there are some people with the same view. I'm listening. I believe that TGK we're supposed to send out a communique after this, and probably send it out to what we arrive on. And obviously, there's a lot of points that have been made that probably we go into that communique. But right now, I really would like to invite one of the leaders of the diaspora to address us. I believe he's been working hard, and please, I would like to invite Professor Int'l to please address the conference.
Prof, unmute. Prof, unmute.
All right, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chief Franklin. And I want to also say my commendations to everybody on the call. I also want to apologize for coming in late. Actually, I thought I wouldn't be able to make it at all to this meeting because I was on my way to an event in Atlanta, but unfortunately I couldn't make my flight. So it looked like I am destined to be at this meeting after all. I have listened and very pleasantly taken in all that have been presented, talked about, advocated, because everybody, we're all angry. There's anger in the country. And I want to see if there's any one thing that unites all of us today in Nigeria is that we are angry. And if there is anything that we all should, in a perverse way, be happy about or say, thank you, Jesus, is that we now have an issue in front of us that is so easy for everybody from the streets to the highest echelon in the country and beyond can understand, is the issue we have at hand, which is that of forgery, very much sticking to Chief Tinubu. That is one thing that the courts cannot over-define it. They can't make that go away, no matter how they rule. That fact is something that is so simple, painful to understand, and also to realize that the person who is ruling your country has been associated with that. Every other thing that is the case, like somebody mentioned, numerous of them are still there, but they may not be as easily understood as where we are today with this case of forgery. And in so many ways, I like I mentioned earlier, in a perverse way, feel happy that we are at this point where we have this issue. And I will want to also strongly say that I strongly believe that this is one issue that we're going to use to eventually club down this regime. I strongly believe that. Yes, we all know that Chicago State University, which we try to describe more or less as a crime scene university. Instead of the CSU mean, Chicago State University, we call it crime scene university. We were there recently in Chicago. The meeting was to go and discuss with the congressman where the Chicago State resides in his constituency, to see what he knows and his thoughts, and then go to the university to do the same. And it was a very interesting visit, to say the least. As soon as we got into the office of the congressman, he, in a very braggadocious way, started telling us about his relationship with Bola Tinubu, how much they've worked together, money projects they've done together, how the school with president at some point in time has visited Nigeria, tried to do some projects around exchange program, but that exchange program never materialized because they couldn't get enough accommodation in Chicago to house those students when they come from Lagos for the exchange program. So that kind of fell apart. However, they still had so many other collaborations between the congressman, his aides, and Bola Tinubu, whether when he was in government or outside government. Obviously, when he was outside government, he still owned Lagos. In the process of him telling us about his relationship with Bola Tinubu, he now said, "Oh, by the way, Reverend Jakes, which is one of his top aides, he called on Reverend Jakes, and said, 'Hey, Reverend Jakes, was at CSU with Bola Tinubu. So Jakes, can you come and tell us more about that?' And again, Reverend Jakes, very proudly, I think my read was that he's trying to show that he has a relationship with the president of Nigeria, big, largest African, Black nation in the world, and maybe to show the congressman that he's the one that actually has that relationship, which, I believe to the congressman was proudly associating himself with. So that kind of took some of us, at least myself, it took me unawares. I didn't know that Bola Tinubu had already had this relationship with that office, even though I should have known because he history in Chicago. Well, after they have all gone through telling us about their relationship about Tinubu, which was not prompted, then he was given the opportunity to speak, and so I told them that I'm glad that they have a relationship with Bola Tinubu, which is good to hear. Anytime there are good relationships in this way, it helps to all the wheels of business. So that's a good thing. And I said, to be honest with you, I'm glad you guys have a personal relationship with him. And I also say that I have a very personal relationship too with Tinubu. We were together in the trenches when we fought the military in the June 12 struggle. We lived in the same neighborhood. And I have had that strong relationship with him ever since. If there is any one person in this room that will be a biggest advocate and champion, I probably will be the one, maybe as much as both of you, the congressman and the Reverend Jakes. I said, but the purpose we're here is not a personal relationship with Bola Tinubu. It's about something fundamentally bigger than that. And it's something that can affect every one of us in this room and beyond this room. As you all are aware, Bola Tinubu, quote unquote, is the person sitting in the seat of presidency in Nigeria. And there might be a few things that you may not be aware of regarding the controversies that's been swirling around him ever since. And I went through those issues, the court case where we thought he didn't win the votes to be declared the winner. And, some other things like his different ages, his parentage, who he is and all that stuff. And, those things, even as I present them, they sounded like unimpressive. Maybe somebody might listen to it and say, this guy just not bad belly, coming here to tell us about the age and gender and all that kind of thing. But, we'll pressed on. And and I said, he came into Chicago State University, with a questionable, document that offered him the admission. For instance, he don't mention that he went to a school in that transcript, which in that document, which wasn't that school was not in existence when he said that he was there, and that document also showed that that person was a female, which is yet to be cleared up. And the other thing that is actually very profound is that a couple of days ago, there was a deposition of the school, Chicago State University, challenging, trying to verify whether or not he graduated from the school and whether he received a certificate from the school, because he presented a certificate to the Independent National Electoral Commission in Nigeria, which is actually the bone of contention recently. And the Chicago State University, on the position, said they did not issue that certificate to Bola Tinubu. The certificate that he tendered to the Independent National Electoral Commission. And at that point, you can see the countenance of the congressman and Reverend Jakes, suddenly changed. You can see horror on their faces. And then the congressman said to Jakes, Reverend Jakes, well, Reverend Jakes, you say you went to school with this guy. Do you know about all these things? So the Reverend, the congressman said to now want to put some distance, pushed it out to Reverend Jake. And Reverend Jake said, why would he do that? He was asking us about Tinubu. Why would he do that? It takes you, doesn't cost you much to get your certificate. I can't understand that. Then he opened up the wallet. Reverend Jakes opened his wallet and brought out his pocket-sized certificate, which is surprising.
Prof, it seems that your speaker is not working now. Is there any way? Are you using
Yeah, I think it has a fault. Speaker has a fault.
I think it's the only one that can fix it, right?
I think we've lost him.
No,
Okay.
it's still there. It's still there, but I think his mic is not working properly.
Okay, nonetheless,
We could chat him up and then know exactly what his doing is.
all right.
Frank,
say that,
if I can just chip in from,
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention something. Yeah, because something that cropped up within the past 1 week. And that is the situation of the British Broadcasting Corporation. I mean, and when we say we are reaching out to the US and UK, we're not unaware that he may have vested interest. He has the budget of Nigeria now to toy around with. So it will not be out of place if wherever you go, even in the Congress, even in this, whether in the state legislature in Illinois or in the Congress in Washington, D.C., that you may meet people who are already very familiar with the person who is posturing as our president. But the reality is that Nigerians, when you bring the truth and you confront them with the truth, they want to distance themselves from the garbage this man is carrying around. Not too long ago, the BBC allowed their platform to be used for a paid hack job. I mean, a very silly write-up, which proved later to be write-up by journalists who are linked directly with Mr. Tinubu. And the Nigerians really told them where to stuff that article. So I just mentioned this so that when the diaspora are doing what they need to do, they certainly will be met with some elements in the West who might have been in bed with this Mr. Tinubu for a while, and as such will not be willing to hear the change. We must not also forget that soon after the electoral fraud, or electoral haste of 25th of February, the then British High Commission, Mrs. Katrina Liang, came out with a very stupid comment. The Nigerians should be very proud of that electoral haste. She actually went around the country saying that we should be proud of the electoral fraud which took place on that day, and Nigerians gave her a piece of their mind. Told her to, I mean, if she doesn't have anything positive to say, she could keep quiet and stop embarrassing the British people. So at any time, we must always distinguish between these government agents and the people. We know that the people of the United States are always, and the people of Britain and other democracies are very, very supportive of populations and are against fraudsters in government. So if in the course of our trying to advocate for change in this country, we are faced with some elements who are compromised, we have been told by the last speaker now, until they are faced with the facts and the realities. There is nowhere in any democracy where any leader will want to be associated with people who have fraudulent past. If you recollect, before the 76th hunger in New York, one of the assistant secretaries of the United States had come to Abuja and told Mr. Atiku that he will be the only African leader that will be met, that Biden is looking forward to meet on the sidelines of hunger 76. But when the facts, when the realities of the stench of the garbage that Mr. Tinubu represents came out to the fore, nobody, Biden dare not come close to him, because you cannot say you're fighting drugs coming in from Mexican border of fentanyl and other hard substances that are destroying lives in America, and at the same time be seen discussing or in bed with a ruler who has very spurious and stank, very putrid trajectory or past. So once we're on the side of the truth and realities, we can open up doors, even despite the billions that the regime will be spending. When they are faced with the realities, they will know how to bow. Thank you.
Sir, yes, you're 100% correct.
Was it poor connection?
I'll go. No, you're right. I just muted myself. I would like to go back to Professor Edi, if he has finished, at least to give us the whole full story. If not, we can now see. Actually, Prof, are you available? Or he still mute himself?
He is not back. I think the thing threw him out.
Okay. All right, no problem. At this point, though, a lot of points has been made. We believe that in Nigeria now is almost, I don't know how much it is. I don't know what the time over there in Nigeria. That's 5 hours ahead of us.
That'll be maybe 9 o'clock or thereabout.
Yeah, good around here. So I think we started this at 1 o'clock, and now we are now at 3:41 p.m. I just want us to round up in terms of what the action district we need to do, the action steps that we need to take going forward. I've heard about, I've heard about the protest. That one is certain that we need to do a protest. But in terms of the international community, what is it that we need to do? I do believe that we wanted to do the communique to send out to CNN and the rest of the media group. That's one, yeah. And also, we do know that from Reverend Chris, I see that we can also organize, and then from Dr. Professor Pat, if there's any other group that you know that can join us, that so we can work together. I think we believe that working together is the key to actually mobilizing most Nigerians on ground. Yes, it's true. One person cannot make a tree, or one tree cannot make a forest, whichever we wanted to say. I do believe that at this point in time in Nigerian history, it is what we stand up for that will actually dictate our, the future. And today, actually, I don't want to go into making speeches, but I do believe that we Nigerians, young, old, babies, know the right thing to do. And what everybody have touched every area of concern, and they concentrate only on Tinubu. But there are people who are destroying the country more, who have the security apparatus. For instance, the DSS, I believe the DSS director and the military and the police. These guys are now controlling now EFCC. Now they're controlling the military apparatus that will intimidate people or intimidate the citizens, most especially the DSS. I think that should be something that we in the diaspora need to do, or if somebody have an idea of what we can do to to curtail their excesses, please, you are welcome to do that too. To tell us what we can do. Let's give ourselves 5 minutes to 10 minutes to come to a decision on that, and then they communicate. We go further to include them. And Tinubu, the court will let's pray and pray to God Almighty that the Supreme Court will do the right thing, and then the security apparatuses will. We need to, for now, take care of the security apparatus and for them to stop intimidating the Nigerian citizens. That's one thing that we need to look into. Because anybody you spoke, you talk to do any kind of rally, organize, or do anything, they will talk about security. They're intimidated by the security, and these security people, agencies, they are Nigerians also. Whatever is happening in Nigeria is happening to them. I heard that this gas now, is that gas, what they call it, petroleum, is 700 naira. 700 naira. How many people in the village can afford 700 naira? How many? A gallon. Rice, I was told it's about 50 something.
Not a gallon, a liter. A liter.
Oh, a liter. Oh, wow, even smaller, self. Not even. Look at that. A liter. 700 naira. When some people's salary is only 15,000 naira, a bag of rice is 58,000. Oh, come on. Come on. And it is, we need to do something, not only the economic impact of what's going on, but also the intimidation that we need to find a way to actually resolve that. So I will give us to find out, do a brainstorm and what are we going to do in terms of calling the attentions of the international community and also we in the diaspora on curtailing the actions of the security forces, customs, or whatever they may call them. And then after that, we can now ask Minister Int'l to give us a closing remark, and then they'll come to him. Yeah, Professor Pat, it's you.
I had my hands up.
I want to ask a question. Will it be considered undiplomatic, if so to say, if we as diasporans write to remind Biden that if he doesn't weigh in on this matter, to remember that a block of voters are Nigerians, and he will be running for, he has indicated that he will be rerunning next year. Would that be too, would that be misconstrued as maybe being confrontational, or can we do that?
I mean, blackmailing, right?
or blackmail.
Well, let me.
I mean, don't you use what you have to get to what you need? We really do have a block of Nigerians here who vote for Democrats. So it would be good for him. It would be good politics for him to acknowledge our pain and try to weigh in on it. I think America is gaining more from diaspora Nigerians here than they would gain from Tinubu if they allow Tinubu to stay on.
Let me.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me say something quick.
Hold on, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
you can remember that when we were in DC, right in front of the White House with our microphone, we were supposed to go there with a bullhorn, but we rented a large microphone, which they later pointed out that we infringed on a few things. So I said it very loudly with a microphone that Nigerians, for instance, I'm a Democrat. I vote Democrat. Nigerians may begin to, look at how the administration deals with issues of, concerning Nigeria, when they want to vote. And then also reminded them that if America fights drug coming into America, they cannot, help, sustain a non-drug battle, as our president. And as a matter of fact, there is a particular law in the United States that says that if a drug kingpin becomes the president of a country, there is a particular repercussion, legal repercussion that could trigger that it could trigger. So I'm saying this to say that there's nothing stopping us from reminding the administration that a lot of Nigerians vote Democrat, and that it will be important that their vote may be affected by how the administration, treats this issue, which is very, very important to every Nigerian. So it's a matter of semantics, how to. But if we can do it, yes, we can say that.
I want to say this. I want to beg to differ, sir. We must understand that this is why we are failing as a country. It is high time that we understand that as Nigerians in America and citizens of America, we must avoid anything that will sound as if we are partisan. Let's understand that. It is time, because one of my mission and my research as a PhD student is to understand how to help public and political discipleship, which is lacking in Nigeria and in Africa. We want to see how we can bring things that will help Nigerian students, Nigerian leaders, African students, African leaders to know how to engage in the public arena as well as in the political arena effectively without compromise. It is our fundamental human rights to fight for the freedom of Nigeria, whether we are in Nigeria or not. And it does not matter who is in government in America. We need to let them understand clearly that we will not accept this irresponsibility from the West. We will not accept this hypocrisy from the West. We will not accept these lies from the West in trying to flaunt to us that they are a democratic nation, whereas they are not. We want Mr. Biden to stand up and show us that he is a Democrat, not a Democratic Party member. We want him to uphold the tenets of democracy. And what is happening in Nigeria right now is immoral, is wickedness, is corruption. Wrong in Nigeria is wrong in the United States of America, is wrong in the UK, and must be condemned by every nation. So my organization is already putting out a campaign, both for Nigeria and the international community. What we are in here is how we can unite together, because we don't want to show ourselves as if we're just fighting for ourselves. That's why we want to unite, sir. So, sir, I respect our view, but we can write a letter, but we can write it in a more neutral way, so that if tomorrow a Republican president come to power, we Nigerians can still deal with him as citizen of Nigeria and citizen of America, and let him understand it is our right to vote whoever we want to vote for. And we must not tell him whether we vote for him or we do not vote for him. Our credentials as citizens in America can testify for us. Our testimonies in classroom with our professors can also ascertain that Nigerians are hard workers. To the best of my knowledge today, Nigerians are the only immigrants in America today that are highly educated. It is our time to speak, and may God help us. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
No problem.
I've had my hand.
Sir, hold up for a minute. Please hold up for a minute, sir. I'll get to you, Mr. Kislomuna, right? So
Yes.
Yes, I'll get to you. I just want to make a comment for a minute. Whenever we write, we should also understand the US policy towards other countries. I think by the fact that the United States have immediately sanctioned some professors, no, not some professors, some judges, right? And that's even one to say that they're not in support. For the fact that Biden did not see, Tinubu will be the first person Biden never met. The first president of Nigeria, Biden never met. President of the United States never met for the first term of coming to United Nations. For the fact that they canceled the meeting, is saying that, listen, you are not supposed to be there. They don't need to voice the whole thing all out. But yes, we can write a letter to the United States and then make a stand, and not to obviously, we remind them what they have done so far, to acknowledge them that distancing themselves is one. But I think that there should be more pressure from administration is the right way to go. Okay, Mr. Case Lobona, please.
Right. Okay, thank you for this opportunity. I think I heard somebody say, what can be done with regards to getting the military or the security forces in Nigeria to relent and, avoid disrupting or killing people when they come for demonstration. That's a big question, but we can start dealing with it by a small way. And my suggestion is that we can do, or letters can be done to the heads of the security forces and simply just laying out the truth, which is the conditions in the country, not that they're unaware, but just to remind them that in this struggle, it is not about any one individual, but it is for all. And so if victory comes, all of us would partake in it, just like as Steve Biko, South Africa, said in his book, I Write What I Like. He said in the rendezvous of victory, when he was speaking to the South African apartheid headheads or hotheads, he said that in the rendezvous of victory, there's a place for all of us. So those of you who are resisting change, it is important that you recognize that victory is all certain. It may take long, however long, nobody knows, but it is certain. And in that time, when it happens, everybody will partake in it. So we need to remind these people that if this struggle comes to fruition and things happen, Nigeria change, they're all going to benefit from it. So it's important we find a way to communicate, to sensitize these people, and just tell them when things are happening, just speak to them. For instance, when you see people on the streets, don't be so forceful, because as I said, it is not about you, it is not about me, it is about all of us. I think we need to find a way to do that. But we can also subtly apply pressure to say, you are members of the community. So we know you, we know your children, we know your wife, we know where you live. If you resist, and as it is certain that victory will come, when it does come, you will not be forgotten in terms of getting paid for your actions. So we need to find a way to speak to these people and talk to them. That is one. The other thing I want to talk about is this. It is clear we've heard and we've seen that it is difficult to organize things in Nigeria. People are afraid. People are weak, we're told. Although if you ask me, we all know that people react when they are pushed to the wall. And people react when they've lost all hope. So if Nigerians have really lost hope, I don't think we need to preempt anybody for action. They would have to act, because there is no other way but to resist, unless you want to commit collective suicide. and permanently be enslaved. Otherwise, people react when they take into the extreme. So I think that Nigeria will question whether really people have been very, really, really pushed to the wall, because I can't see how people would be pushed to the wall and they refuse to react. Yes, I do know that tribalism, religion, and all of that inhibits people, prevents them from taking action, because it is about ours. It doesn't matter whether what he's doing profits you or not. It is our fool, and because it is our fool, we'll support what he does. He's a son of a bitch, yes, but it is our son of bitch, so we support him. I think we need to let people know that that has never worked and won't work. The suffering is collective. Everyone is taking their share. So forget religion for a minute, forget your tribe for a minute if you can. We need to find a way to speak to people, because that's really what is actually affecting us mostly. I know corruption is important, but I think that if you take religion, take tribalism, Nigeria might be somewhere, because these are the two things in my mind that has hobbled that country. So with regards to people in Nigeria, anytime they want to wake up, that's fine. But I think now, however, my suggestion is that those outside should probably consider taking this fight, should consider leading it, because we are in places where we are not going to be afraid of the police forces or the military or whatever, because they're not going to be able to reach us immediately. So we can begin to organize. I am disappointed each time meetings and stuff like this are called. The attendance is very poor. People don't come. I'm not sure what it is. Yes, they may be pursuing the dollar or pursuing the pounds and pursuing the lira or franc, whatever. But I am sure that if Nigeria is safe and secure, prosperous, we would get more money than what we are getting. Because the little that you get here, you send home, you keep it to yourself. There are many ways you're going to be able to save if Nigeria is working. So we need to begin to think seriously, those of us outside, on how to take this challenge and help lead. I know that it is sometimes, you need, the theater of war is usually where the noise made sounds the loudest. Yes, for instance, Nigeria is the theater of war in this instance. And so noise made in Nigeria will be louder. However, since we've considered and we've seen what is happening there, I'm suggesting perhaps that we need to think seriously now, shifting this burden to those of us who are outside. We really do need to think seriously. I posted something on some platform yesterday, and it's the same point that I made. Because we know, and somebody has said it, it is true. None of these leaders, we've seen the example of Biden, none of them is going to be boldly seen romancing with somebody who's been tagged a fraudster, drug dealer, election rigger, and a certificate forger. If we make that noise and make it loudly, frankly, Tinubu will become a pariah. These guys are going to run away from him, and we can do that. Remember several things that we have done before this time. And when, for instance, Nadeko left Nigeria, they come to London, and some of them went to America. We were the foot soldiers. And the support, the report we were getting from him then was that we must keep doing what we're doing because it was having some effect on Abacha. So I think this is the time for us to consider taking that action. So I do hope that we think seriously and find a way to mobilize ourselves. Don't get me in because I've really done my bit. I'm prepared to come outside, but I'm no longer prepared to be running a business like this because I knew what it took me. During Nadeko time, this Tinubu that is making noise, we didn't see him in meeting more than 3 times. You can talk about John Oyego, Alani Akinade, Bolaji Akiyemi, and many others that I can name. when we set up Radio Kudirat, which later metamorphosed into Freedom Radio. I was one of those the person who made the initial broadcast on that radio on Igbo language, okay? And I did it with my name before I was told that I mustn't do that because obviously I'll be exposing where we were acting from. So we've done quite a bit. I'm prepared to come any day called, but I'm not prepared to be getting involved in organizing. But I do think that it is important. We think seriously to take this struggle on our own. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate your struggle in the past. And even for you calling in today is also very much appreciated. The action moving forward is what we are looking for. And thank God thank you all for the suggestions. I don't know, Ken, did you drop your hand or you want to speak again?
Yeah, I want to speak again, or based on what I've just said, just a little bit. And I know.
Okay, okay, just hold on again. Professor Pat, did you want to speak, or did the formal hand that you raised? Professor Pat,
yeah, just to agree that the aspirants need to head this thing. I used to think.
Okay, just hold on for a minute. Hold on
okay.
Ken, just go ahead and speak. Just a few minutes.
The only thing I'm saying is I really don't agree in writing a letter to Biden. Okay, I think this is our fight. When the war starts, when the protest starts in Nigeria, then we can do all those. America have done a lot of things, just like you said, Frank. Biden didn't meet Tinubu. They allow the court process to go for the certificate forgery. FBI will be releasing an order. Security agency will be releasing orders. So they have done a lot for us. They have been helping to expose Tinubu. And then we have to leverage on that. And then when the war starts, I'm talking about the protest, then we can start to put pressure on them to start speaking. So what I'm suggesting is, just like Prof. Pat said, let's coordinate ourselves. I've seen the text, people send you the name of organization. Let's compile all of them. And then one day we're gonna have a mega meeting, Zoom meeting, and then select people that will be involved in all this stuff. And then we're gonna mobilize the people. Because in the next 2 weeks, the Supreme Court will speak, and we have to be ready. That's all I'm saying. We have to be ready, because at that point, that's where we're gonna drop that bomb. If we let it slide 1 week, 2 weeks, it's all over. So let's get ourselves ready for that bomb to drop, because nothing will happen. They will uphold the appeal court stuff. Nothing. You can hold from now until Jericho. That's what will happen. When you look at the selection of the Supreme Court judges, they already have 4. They already have 4 on their side. That's Okoro man. Everybody know that how fraudulent he is. So they already have 4, and 4 they can go, but they want unanimous, and they threaten out the remaining 2, the remaining 3. So let's not hope for that. Let's hope for the worst, and that is getting our ready. As soon as they announce it, let the bomb drop, and then we start. We need to be ready. That's all I'm saying. Let's get all the organization. I've seen something in the chat. Compile that, have a mega meeting, and start talking to people in Nigeria and whatever. That's all I'm talking. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Briefly, Professor OBF, that before we can go back to
very, very briefly, I want to say amen, a grand amen to what he just said in terms of being ready on the day the verdict is announced. I've said that repeatedly in previous meetings, other meetings. If they decide to surprise us for some reason, then it will turn into a jubilation. If they decide to prove us right, then it will be a protest turn revolution. So on that, I say a big amen. Now, the other thing I was also going to echo is that I used to feel that I used to be one of the diasporans who say, unless we see domestic Nigerians on the street, no money. But then, you know, I felt that they haven't gotten angry enough to hit the street and blah, blah, blah. But somebody said, if you push Nigerians to the wall, they will find a ladder and climb over to the other side. And it seemed like a joke, but it appears to be what is actually literally playing out. Because when you look at all the triggers that were heavy enough to bring people to the street, and they're still there, we are managing. Today, somebody got less than a bag of rice to share among 140 something houses in a locality. And he made a video telling the government, don't insult us, we're not hungry. I'm like, damn it, for goodness sake, stop talking, just hit the street. And somebody laughed and said, no, they are not. They are not going, they will keep managing. So yes, I agree. I've come to terms with that, and I made a turnaround and began to agree that, you know what, it's our lot. There's a proverb in Igbo that says, any of the siblings that can perform the funeral of the father should do so. It doesn't have to be the firstborn. So it seems that it has fallen on us, the diaspora Nigerians, to spearhead this thing, to make it happen. Okay, so if you look at it, they are suffering pain of hunger and the hardship. We are suffering pain of shame and embarrassment. So in a way, for us, it's even greater. So, and then on top of that, we are also bearing the burden of the hunger and hardship they have created back home. So for that reason, I completely agree. And I applaud this group, and I applaud the idea that we begin to collect the names of all groups that are planning a protest. Let's make this thing happen, folks. Let's pick a date. On that day, when they announce, we either hit the street jubilating, or we hit the street and turn Nigeria upside down and chase those people out. And then afterwards, we turn it back the way it's supposed to be and begin to build. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
For those who are not hearing Igbo, sorry, please.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I did explain in English.
Okay, thank you I appreciate every suggestion. I do believe it, but I wanted to also remind, but I think that's Dan. Dan, I've already set up there's a protest being planned. I believe Dan, those in Europe, I think what we need to do is to find a way to coordinate together to actually push it towards making it a unit. But at this point in time, I really want to talk to, I want to bring forward Professor and Prof to come in and speak and finish up what he started, and then we can go from there.
Sorry, let me just add a bit, Frank, please.
Yeah.
So what the prof, the female professor just said now, I appreciate her new reawakening to the reality of Nigeria. And that, but what I want to say is the deadline for action should not necessarily be the judgment of the court, of the Supreme Court. A new threshold has been set, and that is whether the outcomes of the Abubakar Atiku versus Chicago State University judgment will be accepted by the court. Because once those findings of that process is not accepted by the court, it gives a clear indication what's afoot. because the Supreme Court ordinarily, by virtue of its rules and order proceedings, Order 2, Rule 12 of the Supreme Court proceedings, it can and should accept such weighty information, such as the fact that the Tinubu fellow forged and falsified documents. But if the court, for any reason, says no, it will not accept it, then you already begin to know where the pendulum is swinging towards. So let us just bear that in mind. If we wait for the judgment, that may come sometime around December or January, but the issue of the acceptance into the court's processes of the outcomes of the case against Chicago State University will come up, I believe, later this October, or by the first week of November, they will have a ruling on that. And that should be the signal of what will transpire. And then we should be, nobody's going to drop any bomb. We're talking of just mobilizing people to protest, to do what is right. There's no, I had the mention of a bomb, but I understand it was figurative. But in a public forum like this, we're not talking of bombs, we're talking of rallying people around to protest for their rights so that we ensure that there is justice for Nigeria and Nigerians. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Professor Eddie, are you back?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I don't know, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much, and apology. I don't know what happened. I kept trying it, and when it succeeded, I didn't even know what happened. So I'm not sure where I left out, but I want to assume that I'm already in discussion about dialogue with the congressman's office. When I think I mentioned that when I now told him about the events surrounding the Chicago State University matter, ranging from the admission document that was tendered for giving Bola Tinubu admission to CSU that we felt was a fraudulent document. The school was not in existence at the time. The gender presented was female. The nationality of the person presented was African American, and all that together showed that something was actually not appropriate. And of course, the deposition was clear in saying that the document he presented to INEC wasn't presented by Chicago University. Like I said, both himself, the congressman, and the Reverend Jake, were mortified, by that. The congressman is running for re-election. He's a very well-known civil rights activist, a very prominent member of the Congressional Caucus. And my read at the time was that he just would like this to be his legacy. Given all that he's already told us about his relationship with Bola Tinubu. So the long and short of that is that he agreed he's going to take up the matter. He's going to reach out to people in his circles. He's also going to present the matter to Congressman Mix, who is the ranking member, the Foreign Affairs, Foreign Relations Committee at the House of Rep. And he said he's going to get back to us in about 3 weeks. But one thing that was clear, at least that's how it looked to me, was that they weren't very much aware of this crisis swirling around Bola Tinubu and Chicago State University. And this was something that is personal to them, and I believe him pretty much when he says that he's going to make his own investigations. We were also at Chicago State University just to feel the pulse of the campus. And it was also clear that the average person walking around the campus had no clue what we're talking about. So it looks that the administration was trying their best, to shield the rest of the university from what was going on. Now, where that leads me, again, I've heard what you've all said about who should take the lead, who should take the lead. I want to observe that collectively in this struggle, this particular struggle, Nigerians must give themselves credit. It appears as if to say we are not all working from on the same grouping. That's true, and Nigerians, I don't know whether there's been any time other than maybe prior to the election when the youths were mobilizing their million man marches, walking the street and all that. And of course, also the fact that they all came out and voted. And one can, not be surprised that they have been all traumatized by the fact that they did all that, and the system robbed them of their mandate. And it appears as if to say they don't have anywhere else to run to, for redress. That doesn't mean that they have kept quiet. They have taken to cyberspace, like you and I know, part of the leading organ that is shaping the narrative for us in Nigeria and globally. So we must not take those, for granted. The idea of taking on the street is a very beautiful one. You and I know that anytime it calls for everyone coming together, that's always an issue that in so many ways draws us back. Here we are at this conference call. How many people were here? And I know how aggressively this was advertised out there. So while we plan for a mega all togetherness action, we must not dissuade individuals who are doing their own thing the way they know. Because as they do it individually, collectively, it adds up. While we continue to work on a bigger rally, let's not dissuade. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my thought here now, back to us in the diaspora, is we definitely have things to do that we should be doing. It is always a downer when all of us in diaspora or some of us in diaspora, everyone say, hey, we want them to, they should. I think we should also be taking more individual actions here. We need to reach out to our Congress people. There's no question about it. And if there's one thing I would want us to do after this event, this evening, is for us to write a letter to CSU, making our case why they should withdraw the certificate or the admission, actually, they should withdraw the admission they gave to Bola Tinubu, based on the fact that, he got that admission based on forged, documents. That is something that is easy for us to do, but very, very powerful. If that, like I said, the congressman is not very much aware of all this that is happening. The university community are not aware of it. So the embarrassment factor is still not, up to par. And we need to, basically, pump up the volume a little bit. I know that we have been in discussion with Atiku and a few other groups too, planning, an action at CSU, hopefully by the end of this month or maybe early November. And anybody who wants to engage in any other action that, all piles into this, it's all fine. But I would think that we must not all wait until everybody agrees on a plan of action before we do anything. Call your congressman, particularly their schedulers. call their schedulers, because that's how we the meeting we got with Danny Davis was through this scheduler, and all of them have schedulers. So find their schedulers. Let them know why you want to to meet with the congressman and what you expect of the congressperson, and follow it up. Other than that, if there are any other actions, for instance, Bola Tinubu was in New York. We wanted everybody to come out to New York so that we can embarrass him there. Nobody showed up.
Yep.
So these are some of the things that when you're doing them, we have not maxed out what we can do, the actions we can take. That's all I'm saying, that together all of us here can do more, and let's not hold back on doing what we can do until somebody else does something more aggressive. I'll give credit to our youths, those in Nigeria, all of us here. We're all doing the best we can to put look. The Nigerian presidency, like you all know, is one of the most powerful organs anywhere in the world. So those people are not accountable to anybody how they spend money, and they can use that money anyhow. They have a capacity to affect your life by how they position you at your appointment or unemployment. So it's a very difficult situation to be if you are a government civil servant in Nigeria. All that put together, we still have been able to so far put this government in check, and I believe that we're going to bring him down. I yield.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I correct
I think
something?
at this time, ma'am, please hold on for a minute. I think we need to round up. And Professor Pat, I'll give you just 1 minute to just speak, and then I'll hand it over to, I'll introduce Dan to speak, and then GGK to round up, and then from there we go. Please, just 1 minute, man.
I wouldn't even take up to 1 minute. I wanted to correct something. I hope Professor Paraji didn't misunderstand me. The collective effort that I was talking about is as far as the protests, so that we don't have individual groups having small crowds coming out. So that's what I meant. Other actions that we're taking both individually and collective, they are well appropriate. They're very appropriate. So I was simply referring to that protest, so that we will have the kind of crowd that will make the impact, that will give us the results we're looking for. Now, having said that, one other thing is, you mentioned that the university community seemed to be unaware of what is happening, and the university seemed to be working extra hard to shield them from all that. So that got me thinking, what if we decide mobilize the Nigerians in Chicago to go and picket the university? I'm sure a lot of the students will be asking questions, and they will get to know. We should not allow the university to push this under the rug and get away with it. So I was wondering if maybe we're able to do that, then more people will know. So there's also been a talk about writing to the accrediting agency and also to the state's approving body to see what they can do from their side. Thank you. That's all I wanted to make sure I correct that impression, that I wasn't trying to discount other activities by individuals and groups. It's just for the protests. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I think all of your suggestions are
in
some point.
I think I agree with you, Prof. I'm not, and I wasn't referring to that in particular. I'm just saying that if we looked at some of the protests there was a protest to sponsor in Nigeria with the All Conveners Group on the day of the tribunal
swearing in.
So no, the day of when the tribunal gave their judgment.
Okay.
So we were supposed, yeah, you know, I was to sponsor a protest, you know, for that day. But for some reason, you know, the group decided to have I don't know what I'll call it, you know, a rally the day before. And on the day of the event, you know, our group showed up and we didn't see anybody from the all conveners group. So we kind of like felt almost swallowed in by the AC hired protesters and the Saribo Kuba group, you know. So those kind of things, ordinarily, you know, you say, why would people have come out? But when there are, and I agree with you, when there are, you know, discordant arrangements of groups in that manner, you tend to water down your impact. So that's definitely something that we need to guard against. And with regard to the Chicago State University action, I totally agree with you on that. And that is something that, you know, some groups which the NADECO USA have been discussing. We will you know, come out with a date, like I said, likely towards the end of this month or early November, you know, when that action at the CSU is going to be planned. And hopefully there are going to be meetings where some of us who want to join will join so that we'll shape, you know, that action of going in there and expose or bring awareness to the university community on what is going on with their school.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now we're about to round up. Please, Barrister Ezeliche, can you please give us a closing remark on the topic, and then we can round up. After that, please, Dan, please prepare to make your final, like, and you GGK. Okay.
Well, thank you very much for your time shows the commitment and patriotism towards this cause. And I think we should begin to remove that dichotomy between diaspora and those of us over here, because everybody has a role to play. And it works best when we are working in synergy, in cooperation, where we lack in terms of external and international exposures. Those in diaspora can always fill in, and then the foot on the ground or the legs on the ground are those of us down here in Nigeria. But the fact is that we need to work in synergy for progress to be achieved. And the progress is very clear, the betterment of our dear country. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to everybody, and I hope we can take it up from there. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. And thank you very much for actually accepting my invitation to speak to the diaspora. Dan, are you available to make a comment, one or two? Dan. Okay, Dan is not available. So let me call on you, GGK, to obviously make a comment and the final comment so that we can all call it a day. It's been a wonderful conference.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. Let me use this opportunity to thank our keynote speaker, Barrister Ezeliche, for making out this time, to participate in this conference and to shed light on the critical issues that face us in this endeavor. If not because of that, you made our time, we would have not made any progress. So in this, being that three major people were supposed to address this conference. So like one of my professors would say, I want to thank you very profusely and very seriously. So thank you for coming. And of course, thank you to every single person who called in, who made contribution, who listened, and those of us around the world who will listen to the streaming of this event. I want to thank you for attending this event, and of course, Professor Okoroji and the conference team, Professor Biefune, who has always, called in, and everyone. So many of you here, too many to mention, by name. Or we'd like to thank you for coming. And since it's recorded, and that is more important, the most important thing is that we have your contacts, because this you cannot join unless you are registered. That means we have your contacts. We will reach out to you as we go ahead, by email and phone if need be, to share a copy of the communique, so that we can also have your input before we finalize it. So again, without wasting much time, let me go back to what I said, and that is, ask yourself, who are you? If you are to be in the society of the Greek people, as it were today in Nigeria, are you the idiot that is out for yourself only? Are you the tribes person that whose God is only his tribe, and whose allegiance is only to his tribe and no other person? Or are you a citizen that is willing to fight for the right and the freedom of every single person in Nigeria and in any society? So it is a decision that every one of us must make. Like I said earlier, I have decided to be a citizen of Nigeria, and that is why I stay here and talk. And I believe that every one of you will be proud to answer a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And with that, I want to thank every citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria who has shown up today. And I wish you the best of your weekend. And I hope that in future, that as we call, to put our heads together in defense of our country, that will also show up. I'd like to thank our moderator, Chief Franklin Ekechukwu, Mr. Dan Elumba, and all the members of our conference team for coming together to put this conference together. And I wish you well as you go back to your respective businesses. I hope that sometime in the nearest future, we will come back to continue to work. Thank you so much, and God bless
you. Thank you very much. And to all that have participated in this event, I greet you and I thank you all, and may God shower his blessings to you all. Thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. If you want to stay a little bit, then you also, for a few moments, you can stay, so that we can
interact.
Interact, yeah. Yeah, I was Prof. I called my friend in India, and he said he must do something so that your plane will not go, so that he will come to the event.
It works.
I'm happy it worked.
Oh man, it was just a very big disappointment. I'm sure I haven't talked to Val to know how his event is going, but so. But I'm glad I'm able to join and at least listen in.
Yeah. And of course, the fact that the guy, the congressman is supposed to get back in 3 weeks.
Yes.
So it's the remaining 2 weeks.
We're counting, we're counting down.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll be counting it until that day. If we didn't get back, then we'll call him.
Well, it will be too late for him because we already planning to storm Chicago State University. So, one way or another, he's either he's on with us or he'll be swept off by the tirade, the wave of anger coming from Nigerians and the students of the university.
Wow. Who knows? Well, maybe we will find, we'll try to find out if they have a student newspaper there, a student newspaper, something like that.
They had one, but they banned it.
They
see?
disbanded the newspaper in school. Since the 1990s. What I was waiting for is for the FBI. I was thinking that those documents would have been released by now, so that way we can use to frame some of the discussions we are having.
But they said it's next month, this month is October.
Yeah, October. Yeah, in October, and then today is 14th. So when we put it on the 14th, I was given the information that it's going to come out on the 10th. So in a way, the 10th didn't work out. So I guess we have to wait until the end of the month, since the FBI said that. I was like, wait a minute, man. But we'll see. But I have a very strong feeling that the Supreme Court will not. They will not. They are the final set of these things. They will not go by holding Tinubu or upholding Tinubu's election. I have a strong feeling of that because this has been even a disaster so far.
These people are men of impunity.
Yeah, they are. But you see, their decision is the final decision, and they know that. Yes, I understand that the gentleman in DSS. That was why I brought that topic. The DSS person is intimidating them, but they forget that these guys are mini God in Nigeria. Their decision is final.
Well, so, I want to disagree that any decision is final in Nigeria. But I don't even understand what you're saying in terms of a good process. I always view Nigeria as a very strange country in so many ways. If you look at Nigeria, whether during military era or civilian era, is one country that, I'm not sure whether there's been any government, whether it's a civilian or military, that has imposed itself to beyond ruling for more than 80 years in Nigeria, even when they have the military might to probably try to do so. So I believe that the public pressure in Nigeria does work. And I believe that this issue of forgery is the one that everybody understands.
Yeah, it's very simple to understand.
Yeah, it's not something that the Supreme Court can come and tell us technicality. No. Mesoma was, relieved of every benefit of us when she forged her certificate.
As a matter of fact, that means that if they say that Tinubu did not forge, that means that the Mesoma can sue somebody.
We're not going to sue.
Maybe sue Jam, since the Supreme Court has said that it is good to forge. So,
that girl was banned, right?
Yes.
She was banned for 3 years. I've been what? I don't understand. For how many years?
She was banned, and the scholarship given to her was taken away.
No, that's not right now.
Anambra State.
They took her the 200 something score that she made.
Yeah. She did well ordinarily in her exam numbers, but she just wanted to maximize it.
What prompted her to go and do that? Who told her to go do that? I don't understand.
It's the same thing that made Tinubu to forge her result because at least it will be said that he was a student.
No, Tinubu, not the same thing that made Tinubu. Tinubu is a criminal. Tinubu is a born. I mean, listen, let us forget. I didn't want to bring this up here because we are going live all around. Let's forget that this Tinubu guy, I think the passport of one Bola A Tinubu, the international passport